Good evening, everyone, and welcome to DZG Productions as we have DZG Arcadia taking on the Iron Team in Week 1 of the Aegis equivalent to Emerald League. My name is Symphonic, and joining me tonight is Silent Element. Silent, how you doing tonight?
I am doing well. Looking forward to another week of casting with you.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is our first game for this team. I mean, DZG Arcadia, they are our latest starting team. And I mean, hey, Aegis started a little later this year. We're starting in March. Definitely feels um I guess a little interesting to kind of start super late, but hey, it gave everybody enough time to adjust to all the changes on the maps, gives everybody enough time to kind of get ready to develop like a meta, develop some teamwork, and honestly, when we're taking a look at some of these bands, we're seeing a couple of like the staple strong picks. We're seeing the Azir removed, Orianna removed, then a couple of little flavorful things like the Sivir and the Diana, something that's maybe just comfort or high win rate, but it's kind of what you would expect here in kind of like the Emerald with like a D4 exception kind of league.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I'm not quite sure if I should call them the Iron Team or just straight tit, but the opponent has basically played a lot of Orianna, so I really do think it's worth banning. But at the same time, it's interesting that they decided to field this mid laner just because there is quite a discrepancy in solo queue ranks.
Yeah, I mean it's a solid silver mid laner, and rank doesn't mean everything, but when you're in a league where your peak rank can be at least with one player D4, and they're allowed to climb up to diamond, it's definitely questionable to say the least. Especially playing a mid lane, which is like a very volatile lane. It relies a lot of skill expression, skill ability, and just in general, kind of a good solid backbone for a team. But nonetheless. DZG has opted to pick up Maokai first pick, a very solid flex between jungle, top, and support, where TIIT or TIIT or TIT, however we're going to refer to it, we got Ezreal picked up, still a solid ADC choice. Still a lot of really strong picks that are getting through. Things like Smolder not being picked up early, Karma's still up and available, which is still strong despite the nerfs. Rel is being picked up, so I mean another really strong flex also for the Iron team as they are able to pick up that Rel, put it in the jungle, put it in the support lane, and it really leaves them a little ambiguous aside from like a little bit of engage that the Rel provides.
Yeah, I mean, right now they have the Rel that does go in, possibly can still be played jungle. It's really great for the Void Grubs, but I really do think like the fact that they're picking Smolder for DZG simply because that means that both bot laners, the ADCs mainly want to scale. Now, Ezreal does do a little bit early damage, but because of Smolder's AP ratio in his W, he will have that poke as well. So I think we're gonna see some early poking, but essentially both bot laners want to be left alone.
Right, absolutely. I mean, the both Ezreal and Smolder, like you said, they want to just be able to scale up. Smolder has a little bit more of that scaling innately built into the kit with the stacking mechanic of being able to improve that Q and some of those other abilities. Where Ezreal is definitely going to be doing a lot better with 2 to 3 items. That's really the big spike, and he's able to kind of play safe. Cinch is going to be picked up for Canny up in the top lane. Definitely a staple pick of his. Wanting to be able to kind of run in there and say, I don't care about your CC. I am just going to pop ult, pop ghost, and I'm going to get back there before you're even able to touch me. Granted, Ezreal, unless he's going to be hit by the adhesive glue or the adhesive trap, he's going to be able to EOA. And it looks like the Iron team has a pretty good idea of what they want to do here, and it seems like it's going to be disengage and poke with the Jace now picked up for, again, a solo lane, could be top or mid. They're setting themselves up for a good poke and siege comp, usually paired up with a good front line just to be able to kind of disengage and be able to poke down or be able to engage after some of the damage has been dropped, where DZG has a mixture of things, strong disengage, strong engage, and a scaling factor with the Smolder. And now it looks like Echo is going to be removed from what I can only assume to be the jungler of DZG. I don't believe Anarchus is a big Echo player, but yeah, Lilia as well, definitely tightening that jungle pool.
Yeah, it's interesting to see though that DZG opted to show the top laner just because at current moment they could have honestly held it back and kind of leave a counter option just because right now when they show that at the moment they'll most likely show their mid laner just because the mid laner is probably the I don't want to say weakest link, but probably is the link that just does not need to care about CS as much, and they want to probably save the jungler just to see the count. Oh, they're opting for the jungler instead and saving the mid for last pick. But I'm definitely expecting some kind of team-oriented mid that can just kind of AFK and kinda help out his team. Um, but I'm interested in seeing how DZG plans on countering what they can already see in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, they're seeing the Wukong, like you mentioned. It's another engage tool. It's also powerful disengage. It just provides a lot of early support here for the side of the INT and team. Mid lane, like you said, yeah, it's interesting that they're still giving him counter picks. Swain is still up and available for the mid laner. Definitely one of their more comfortable picks. But it looks like DZG is wanting to make sure that they are able to hard commit here, something that can follow up with the Singed and the potential Maokai flexibility of his tools. So Vi will be picked up. Still a solid early game jungler, can provide similar presence as the Wukong. It has a strong dueling ability into the Wukong early, just because it's a little bit more of a front loaded damage kit. And with the Singe pickup, Zed is up and available, so we are getting covered. It is one of Anarchus's most played, if not the most played champion in the mid lane. But no, we're gonna quickly change that, pivot over to the Syndra. It's just some really good setup here for the Vi ganks and the ability to kind of just play aggressive and blow up one of these squishier picks like the Jace, the Ezreal, and potentially the Swain that is being hovered, which is again the mid lane. The enemy mid laners are most played in mid lane, which is surprising that that was left up.
Honestly, I expected DZG to pull a Sylas out just because if you know that the other mid laner is going to be an AP threat and also tends to be a CC bot, there's a good chance that you're going to get a really good ult out of that one, as well as you can utilize Ezreal, you can utilize all the rest of the team's ults. So I feel like it would have been interesting to see if an option would have been to just run the Sylas and just, show a hands diff in the mid lane and just honestly show the other team that you can make a difference, that, rank does matter. But they opted for the Syndra, which is another CC chain bot, and this allows them to play. But they need to remember that when they're playing around Swain, as soon as he ults, they need to either delete him or immediately disengage him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that you had, like you said, you have to remember that the Swain, you either have to bait out the ulti and then just kind of back away and re-engage once it's done, or hope and pray that the Swain's very far behind. Because if the Swain is even relatively even with DCG's mid lane, then it's going to be very difficult for them to deal with Swain, as he's not upset about being engaged on. I mean, the Vi, the Singe, whoever it is that locks him up, if he's able to pop the ulti, it's just going to create this big zone of, drain tank and AoE damage, where the Wukong does the same thing. He can come in with his ultimate as well. Rel has a lot of great tools to follow up on the engage or re-engage, should DZG's initial engage not necessarily work. And the Ezreal and the Jace have a lot of... Ezreal certainly has a lot of self-peel. Jace does have the option to be able to, knock people away with his hammer form, and kind of just play back and be able to poke before re-engaging with the rest of his team. So for me, at least, in terms of playability, in terms of ease of execution, the Iron team definitely has a little bit of an easier time kind of doing what they want to do, or they have an easier time kind of coordinating everything that they need. The Rel, the Wukong, Swain, there's no real good way of messing that up if DZG are the aggressors, or if the Iron team finds themselves ahead in the game. They definitely have the tools to engage. Where DZG has a lot of options, have a lot of tools at their disposal, but it feels like, while it may not be difficult to sync up, it definitely feels like it's a lot harder for them to kind of find the engages that they want without one of the engage tools like the Syndra, the Vi, maybe going a little too far without the damage of Smolder and Syndra being able to follow up quickly behind them.
So, which one, if you had to place your bet, which one would you believe is going to take the win in this first series?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. I think it is. It solely depends on how old his mid laner does. At the end, the INT's mid laner. I think if the INT's mid laner can prove that rank is just a color in this game, and that silver is just as good as emerald, then I think that the IN team actually has an edge in this game. Um, I think they just have an ease of execution, and I think that actually makes it really easy for them to kind of do what they want to do. But if Anarchus from DZG can kind of pop off and make this mid laner irrelevant, or if any of the lanes can pop off, then I think DZG has a strong chance of taking it away. But solely on paper, I have to give it to the IN team.
Interesting. I'm actually on the other side of it. I actually do like DZG's picks a little bit more simply because I can see that the Smolder is going to scale. Singe will definitely be a nuisance, and I've seen Kenny's Singe play, and honestly, he is one of the better ones. And as well, I've seen Andy play over several splits. Now, this might be just be the bias or favoritism, but I honestly think that despite the harder ease of execution, I do believe that, there is going to be a potential hands diff in terms of the champions that we're seeing here. Now, granted, I do agree that the synergy that the Iron team has actually created has great synergy. I'm not quite sure if we're going to see the layering that will optimize their team the best. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams are going to get out of lane phase.
Yeah, interesting indeed. I'm excited to see what both these teams bring. I'm excited both these teams, debuting. And my correction is the BOL Emerald League. So I am very excited to see what both these teams bring. It's going to set a precedent to what they're going to be able to do for the rest of the season. But with that said, we'll take a quick break for spectator to load in. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back for game number 1 of the Blue Otter League Emerald League, where we have DZG versus the IN team. Welcome back, everyone, to week one of the Blue Water League Emerald League, where we have DZG Arcadia taking on the Iron team. Both teams opting to just do a quick 5 point start here. Nothing crazy. Both teams are like, we got our scaling elements, we've got our really nothing crazy. They're not looking for early vision, at least at the moment, even though it looks like DZG did get a ward on the Raptor Pit for this on the red side. And Kenny's actually going for an interesting invade here. I believe he does still have his ward available. He's going to run into Mint here up in the top lane. Mint opting to just walk away from it. Actually, I don't even know if they saw each other, but if they did, Mint said, I want nothing to do with the Singe, so I'm going to let it go. Where the Wukong is actually swapping sides real quick. He said, I'm spotted. I am going to try to just swap. No one's going to spot me. I'm going to get to the blue buff, and everything will be okay.
Yeah, the only thing I saw that was interesting was that Syndra did opt for Airy, which, you could do Airy or Comet, but if you're not confident with the poke, Airy is the safer bet just because it will always hit the person when you hit them. As far as top lane, Jace didn't have first strike, so I mean it can make sense on why he gave it. He doesn't gain anything by hitting Singe.
Very true. Already some trades going on actually in all the lanes. Top lane, Mint actually going in very aggressively, already bringing down Candy to below half health. Candy does have a potion available, but he's opting to just kind of stick around. But it makes sense. I mean, range matchup, especially with something like the Jace who could just swap forms right from the start, is going to make it a lot easier to kind of poke and be aggressive. Where in the bot lane, it looks like the Ezreal, Rel lane are going to be able to get to level 2 and play aggressively. Syndra's going to eat an ever move, is going to be able to scatter the weak, is trying to trade up a little bit, and I mean, this typical level 1, level 2 trading. Ooh, good flip. Kaiser going to get locked down here. Kaiser going dangerously low. It's going to be a couple Mystic shots and a couple autos are going to bring Kaiser down to about 10% health, and he's actually going to be forced to pop those potions a little early, so a very solid trade for the Iron team.
Yeah, I think it was quite dangerous with the positioning because both bot laners for DZG were right on top of each other.
Flash Vault Breaker there is going to force the flash out of Soccer. He's going to go back in to trade, actually, and he's going to be pretty much the kill. First blood going over the side of the Iron team. Anarchus does have flash available, is trying to hold it, maybe waiting for that scatter of the week to come back up. He is going to be able to walk away, but that's what seemed to be just a very solid pickup for DZG. Turns it on its head, and Soccer is able to pick up that first blood kill.
Yeah, it's kind of I feel like it's that Lee Sin Q syndrome. If once you see that person so low, you just can't help yourself but try to go for the kill, no matter knowing if you're gonna die or not. But the hedged bet is that hopefully you get that first blood first. But unfortunately, it did not work for DZG.
Yeah, so Swing's going to have a little bit of extra gold in his pocket. Nothing too crazy, it's not going to be the end of the world, especially if on a scaling kind of mid laner like Syndra. I mean, it's going to opt him to have a little bit more health with that Ruby Crystal, so make him maybe a little bit tankier at level 6, but nothing that is detrimental here, especially because they were able to trade back 1 for 1. Aside from that, everything else seems pretty standard. I mean, both junglers are able to clear from top to bottom, though it looks like Wukong's just a little bit faster. Is going to be able to pick up the Krugs as well, though Vi is going to be able to pick up the Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map before the Wukong can rotate. Syndra does get spotted out on a rotation here just to drop a deeper ward. Wukong will get spotted, but it'll be a little too late as Vi was able to pick up the Scuttle Crab, and Wukong will find nothing for his troubles here. Although, maybe a quick invade.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who will rotate from top lane first, or if they'll even meet.
Yeah, ooh, so close there. Wakami is just going to barely miss him. Dylan the Beast, though, is going to be here. He's going to trade off a couple autos. Mint is here, below half mana, though. Might not be able to trade, but in the bot lane, Kaiser does have flash available. Castro going down dangerously low. The Ignite will drop onto Kaiser, actually, not onto Castro, so the ticks will not matter. But again, a solid trade from the side of IT, though Rajan is also pretty low. Gonna have to dodge some of those sneezes if he wants to, but does have the potion ticking now. Will take a turret shot for clearly no reason, trying to stop the backs, and it'll just force him to kind of take it back as well once he clears up that wave.
Yeah, it kind of worked out more for DZG's bot lane just because the wave is shoving in favor, so they are not really going to miss anything, and they got to back up early, and especially it looks like they get priority on these grubs.
Ooh, Dylan gonna get caught out here. Doesn't have backup from mid or top here. Is gonna go pretty low. Gonna be able to Vault Breaker over the wall. Soccer gonna be able to dodge that Scat of the Week, but a little bit greedy there. Was able to secure, I believe, at least one of those what do you call them? Grubbies.
Yep.
Yes, the grubbies, not the Krugs. It was able to secure at least one before getting away. So, I mean, still a solid pickup, not forced to blow flash or anything. So, he's able to kind of just go back to farming and maybe revisit those in a bit. Vision control wise, though, pretty solid vision control up on the top side for the side of IT, who is now making their way to the bot lane. But Canny taking dangerously low here. Ghosts will pop, flashes will blow as well. One well-timed auto might be enough, but Mint's pretty low on mana, and he's just committing the biggest sin of chasing the Singed, and will eat a good chunk of his health. Both top laners blowing those summoner spells, though Mint a little less worse for wear as he does have the teleport available.
Yeah, this looks like really two even teams. You're definitely seeing I guess the break in communication with the jungle. I mean, he is new to the team, and you're seeing that, you need to communicate these days in order to get these objectives. You need to tell, you need priority, but it was just that situation where in solo queue, you can definitely do that, but not in team comps, in competitive.
Yeah, you want to be able to communicate with your teammates, much like you said. You want to be able to have some sort of reliable help for things like that. A quick collapse like that, where neither solo laner was able to kind of follow up and help, makes it really difficult. Castro, both the bot lane of DZG is going to eat up a stun and a knockup here. So his advance going to land, be able to disengage. Castro taking a lot of damage, and DZG's bot lane had just come back from a reset, and they are ticking down. Though, Castro does have a refillable pot and biscuits to help. Meanwhile, Okami is able to go up to the top lane, able to pick up these grubbies. Soccer might be a little bit trouble here, is forced to pop the ultimate here, trying to soak up some of that health. Anikus is here, does have Scattered Weak, will land. Unleash Power available as well. That's going to be this pop, the Demon Flare pop there. Soccer is healing up, is actually going to be able to stay alive. Canny's on his way, though. If Soccer's not careful, he's going to get flipped. Dylan's also in a bit of trouble. Meanwhile, back to the top lane, actually. It's going to be a pickup. Okami going to be able to pick up Anikus. Castro going to go down to the bot lane. Back to the top lane. We're going to see Soccer go down. So far, it's a 3-for-1 in favor of the IT, and it is going to stay that way as the Okami, Mint, and Rajan are able to pick up a kill as we go to a quick pause as Castro seemingly disconnects from the game. But yeah, that was a seemingly disjunct fight up top for those grubs. It looked like they were almost able to pick up Soccer. The Unleash Power was not used by Andicus right away, so he was able to kind of stay alive, and Canny was kind of trying to flank, but it just felt like a very weird kind of push and pull kind of situation where DZG was just not able to find what they needed to kind of clean up that fight.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. And I was kind of notating that, we expected Andy to kind of all in on the.
Oh, Twisted Advance going to land, not going to drop, but that's going to be a kill picked up by Rajan at the end of the pause. So aggressive play after the pause ends.
Yeah, completely questionable considering the fact that the damage is gone and there's unlikely that you can solo kill as a Maokai. I mean, granted, you can do it if he was a lot lower, but I mean, Rel is tanky. It's just the one person you really don't want to focus in a team fight if you have the option. But I think that the thing that we really should notate that though is that in that team fight on the top side for those grubs, we knew that Andy would focus on the Swain, try to get the kill there, but I don't believe that Vi was on the same page because it looked like she tried to disengage Wukong from it instead of taking the kill and making sure that Swain does not get to heal up continuously. And so I feel like now you're almost forced into Grievous early from Syndra just because you want to be able to stop him from healing consistently.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it was a big disconnect. I think both Anikus and Dylan were expecting the other to kind of finish up that kill on the Swain, where, if Anikus was fully committed, he could have dropped that ulti and for sure confirmed the kill, but same with Dylan, he could have dropped his ultimate or his damage and be able to secure the Swain, but they chose the worst of both options, and like you said, I mean, Swain was able to stay alive, he's able to pick up a couple of assists, and like you mentioned, I mean, DZG is going to have to start opting for some of this early Grievous to be able to deal with this Swain. Though DZG is able to move in, going to gravitate towards this Dragon. True Shot Barrage is going to hit 3 of them. Here comes the Cyclone, going to land, going to knock up all 4 members of DZG here. Kaiser going low. The Swain ultimate's going to pop as well. Castro on the bot side trying to do what he can. Anikus is going to be cut out here. Dylan the Beast also going to be taken down here. Flash actually going to be able to stay alive. Castro is going to be forced to get stunned here. Never Move going to land. Never mind. It is going to be Airtone going to be able to pick up the kill here, and that's another 3-for-0 for the side of the IT, and they're going to be able to pick up the first Dragon as well. DZG kind of flubbing another major objective here in another fight.
I mean, after seeing that earlier fight where you actually lost on bot side and kind of on mid to jungle, it's interesting that they chose to let's start the Dragon to, be there again, and, not everyone has their abilities yet. Bot lane especially has been doing some solid fighting back and forth because Smolder has wanted these stacks, so you're definitely seeing him want to do these trades. Now, they may not always be winning trades, but he's getting these stacks at the cost of his own HP. But it's still not an area where you want to force Smolder in early. You want him to continue getting these stacks because ideally by 25 minutes, he should have the fully leveled out with Elder buff, basically. But if you keep forcing him into these fights, and especially at these objectives, he's not gaining anything out of it. So unless he lands his W or happens to auto the entire time, he's not really gaining as much as he would safely get from his lane.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. I think one of the biggest things that teams may forget is the fact that if you're drafting some scaling laners, like, you're gonna have to give up a couple of these objectives. Bot lane is a very big point of that, is the fact that Smolder, like you said, he's gonna be looking to stack up his passive. He's looking to get it to that 225 mark by like the 25-minute mark and be able to kind of have that Elder Buff passive. But if you're forcing him to fight, you're forcing him missing out those CS, and you're forcing him to play where he's already going to be in a little bit of a damage disadvantage compared to the Ezreal, who had already picked up a kill in the bot lane, who arguably would have better items at that point, and has more damage as long as he lands those mystic shots. Same with mid lane. I mean, especially after that fight up at the Grubs, made it a little bit harder to be able to fight. Hold that thought, as Dylan's actually going to miss the Vault Breaker just from the flip alone. Mint's just going to be able to walk away. A little bit more disconnect here from the side of DZG, but here comes Okami and Airtone here. Mint maybe went in a little bit too early here. Ultimate cease and desist going to land there. Dylan the Beast is going to be able to get the kill at the cost of his life. Canny going to be able to run away here, pop the Ghost if he needs to, or the Flash, but it is still going to be a 1-for-1. Kind of more in favor for the side of the IT, as these Grubs are pretty close to spawning here, if not already. Scuttle Crab is available too, so it's likely going to be a 5 Grub clear for the side of the IT. Rajan going to be hit back there by the Maokai knockback. Is really just opting to try to clear as best as he can while the Rel visits the top lane. But again, it's right now a pretty favorable lead, a 3,000 gold lead for the side of the IT.
Yeah, unfortunately for DZG, jungle is right now a huge liability to his solo laners. Early game, he fed 1 kill to the Swain, then he's feeding to the top side now. It just seems like the decision he's making either is extremely panicky or it's just not ideally what you'd want to see. I mean, he had Jace dead to rights. Why not use the ult to solidify after Singe through him, so that way you know exactly where he is instead of trying to skill shot that Q, because he missed it by a mile.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They definitely a bit of a disconnect, and like you said, a bit of like it goes back to that resource kind of like management, maybe just playing a lot more safe. Rajan might actually spot them out here. One well-timed Q is going to be enough. That's going to be a twisted advance to stop, though. Castro going to stop his back. Magnetstorm going to come in as well, along with the flash. Kaiser going to go down. However, the ultimate is going to be there. Castro doesn't have a lot of mana available. Dylan is here. Does not have the ultimate available just yet, nor the flash. Will have to kind of land that Vault Breaker. Airtone could block, and it is going to be a disengage here for the side of DZG. Canny going to lose half his health to that trade to Mint, who's already at the Eclipse, while Canny's just sitting on components for that Leandries. Oh, eating that empowered shock blast there as well. So Canny definitely a little worse for wear. But yeah, kind of back to what you said. I feel like it is a bit of maybe just like holding onto those resources a little bit too much, not necessarily looking to secure those kills, hoping that by holding onto that ultimate, it kind of helps for a different situation. But sometimes you just gotta use those abilities, just secure those kills, get yourself that numbers advantage, and not kind of greed for the kill or hope that those skill shots land, you know, despite the fact that it should have been potentially a very easy layering of skill shots. You know, it does happen, and especially after that Q miss, I mean, just pop the ulti immediately. You're not too far away from that guy. But nonetheless, DZ trying to make the best of out of this not so great early game. Smolder hitting that Essence Reaver, Syndra hitting the Hextech gun, or not gunblade, but whatever you want to call it nowadays. It's a revolver of some sort. But definitely hitting these item power spikes, which is really what you want to see. However, Smolder still really trying to get to that passive as quickly as he can, down about almost 30 or 20 CS here, making it pretty difficult to be aiming for that 25-minute mark on that 225 passive. Meanwhile, Dylan walking up to the top lane. Canny going to pop the Ghost here. Does flip Mint into there. Is in hammer form. Going to slow him down with that adhesive trap. Dylan the Beast going to miss. Cease and desist will be used here. In turret range as well. Pick up kill will go over to Canny. DZG able to pick up a kill. All the meanwhile, though, the IT is going to be able to pick up their second dragon of the game. However, DZG will not go empty-handed, as they're going to be able to turn their attention to the Rift Herald. Oh? Kaiser, Castro may look to do something here, but no, it looks like they're just gonna opt to make sure that their vision stays intact and just kind of farm it out while the IT takes the objective.
Honestly, I've been surprised by the positioning of this bot lane. Both of them tend to walk into places right on top of each other, which makes it easy for this route to immediately engage. But you'll see them consistently do that, and I'm not quite sure if Smolder is being the most efficient with his stackings, with the way that he's using his ult to push the wave as well as his W. So I'm not quite sure if he's using it as efficiently as possible, or whether he just really needs the back whenever you do these things. But he's not. I haven't seen him really set up a wave to take it with the level 1 that usually Smolder has, and looks like Kaiser's getting picked here.
Yeah, Kaiser going to be taking a lot of damage. Is going to be forced to flash away from that that pick option for the side of the IT. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it could be, you know, maybe first game jitters. Maybe they're not necessarily practicing what they've been or utilizing what they've been practicing in order to kind of not, you know, stagger some of those walk-ins, or just in general positioning or wave management. It could definitely be first game jitters, without a doubt. Been there, done that. But like you said, I mean, the IT is kind of punishing them on every end. They're punishing them walking in with the Rel, having the Magnet Storm, and the Sun's available. Mom will be called here, trying to wave clear. Castro is available for the dive. Magnet Storm will actually miss. Castro will not get locked down there, and Airtone's going to take 3 turret shots and be forced to back, or at least pop some of these potions. But no, we'll be forced to back here as a dive attempt goes wrong for the side of the IT. However, DZG looking for a dive of their own. Atticus will get spotted here on the ward. Empowered Shock Blast will land. Okami is here. We'll get spotted on the blue trinket. The Eye of the Empire, or Vision of the Empire, will be used as well to provide some extra support there. And DZG's dive is also kind of put on halt there.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like if anywhere you want to gank, I would gank more bot lane, just because it seems like Castro has wanted to fight, so give him the opportunity. Singe just kind of wants to stack away. Fortunately, it looks like we're looking at disconnects from bot lane.
Ooh, yeah, bot lane kind of choosing to go in two different directions. Kaiser looking maybe for a quick rotate to mid lane. Castro not. Will be forced away by the Rel. Will take a bit of damage and will be zoned off his wave. Kaiser may like to rejoin, however, looking to go back towards mid lane, maybe sniffing something out. Canny will flip Mint into here. The Vault Breaker will miss again. Seeds assist will be used, though, in order to try to lock up Mint, and Mint will be taken down. Dylan the Beast will take a kill. Castro getting dove on the bot side. Much better dive here by the side of the IT. 1-for-1 across the map here for both teams. Solid dives from both teams, or, well, solid ganks and or dive from both teams.
Yeah, this is turning into a massive bot diff. Honestly, we were expecting a mid diff just because the ranks, but the Iron team is actually proving, you know, rank is definitely just a color. Their mid laner, it has been basically a part of every major fight.
Yeah, speaking of fight, Okami here might get caught out here. The clone will take the brunt of the damage. Cycle will come out, but shutdown will be picked up by Atticus here. Soccer and Airtone not able to follow up on their jungler invading here, and will suffer the consequences here. Rift Herald will get dropped. DZG trying to secure the first turret, but here comes Rajan, and it's going to be a 3v3 in the mid lane, while the Smolder farms in the bot lane, and Singe kind of makes his way towards mid lane. Rift Herald will crash, will take a little bit under the half health mark, and will provide a little bit of tempo here for the side of DZG, though not much more can be done. No big objectives are available. About another minute and a half on Dragon, 2 minutes on the Baron. Not much more to do. Maybe that Herald was used a little too haphazardly, as they weren't able to secure that turret. But DZG tried to make the best out of the early game, now reducing that gold lead to just a little over 2,000 for the side of the IT.
Just a minor correction, Singe has already taken top turret.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Singe did take top turret. Okay, so, you know, that top turret helps. I mean, yeah, 2k gold lead only now from what was at 1.4 thousand, so not bad.
Yeah, I think the purpose, it looks like, is just to get rid of this mid turret as early as possible. Granted, without the Void Grubs, the Rift Herald doesn't really add much value, so using it early to try to get rid of that turret isn't a completely terrible idea, because essentially you want this Swain to be away from turret and be forced to play into his ult, so that way you can kind of force him to use his abilities before he really wants to. Whereas if he has a safety of that turret, he'll just go back to it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that long lane is going to definitely benefit Canny here, and he's going to be able to kind of just, like you said, crash a wave and then just be able to back away, go back to the safety, create some roam opportunities like he is now. Dylan, though, going to get caught in his own jungle here. Rel is doing the best he can to CC. Is going to be the Magnet Storm. Here comes Castro and Kaiser here. Essence I'm sorry, True Shot Barrage going to land here. Soccer's here with the ultimate, gonna drain tank a bit. TP coming through here from Canny. That is going to be Andicus taking down Okami here. Here comes Minto actually trying to land some damage here. Kaiser going to be taken down pretty low. A double kill picked up by Swain here. Canny trying to get away. Does have the ultimate popped and the ghost used as well. We'll be able to back away. Adhesive Trap going to be landing there as well. Dylan the Beast going to be taking a lot of damage here as well. That's ultimately a 2-for-1. Actually, scratch that. A 3-for-1 now for the side of the IT. That fight, which looked not the greatest as Dylan was invaded and looked like it was going to be turned around, actually stays in favor for the side of the IT as they now extend that gold lead to 3,000 and put themselves on soul point for the Infernal Soul.
Yeah, no one has Grievous, so Swain was able to freely stand in the middle and heal, and they were not able to disengage. In fact, I think Vi went in behind and tried to do some damage, but it looks like a lot of Vi's Qs are just ending up just short.
Yeah, it's we've seen a lot of misses. We've seen now, short change Qs. It definitely feels maybe like some lack of comfortability on the champion, or just, again, it could be miscommunication, but I'll attribute it again to just, first game jitters. This is their first match of the season. It's for some of these players, maybe first matches of comp in a while, if ever, which can be said for both sides, but definitely it looks like the IT has a little bit more control over those nerves than DZG at the moment. But again, scaling is still a thing. We have Syndra already sitting at 2 items, is able to pick up that Storm Surge. The Smolder is working towards that second item as well, that Spear Sojin. Top lane Sinja sitting on components for that Rift Maker. So definitely DZG scaling up. That's really all you can do. Yes, it's a rough early game that's allowed the IT to be able to pick up some of these objectives and create some more opportunities for themselves, but it doesn't mean that given enough time, DZG can't just kind of turn this game on its head. Kaiser going to be a bit of damage here. Castro will maybe deter. Kaiser just saying, you know what, no, it's my ward. I don't care what you say. I'm going to knock you back, but it's going to be forced to flash here for that greediness of that red ward. Ultimate going to be forced to be used as well, but it does not matter. Okami's able to kind of flank there and be able to pick up the kill onto Kaiser. Thankfully, no dragon or neutral objective in the bot lane is available, but it looks like IT is looking to pick up some more vision. Any airtone is going to be able to be flipped here. DZG looking to trade support for support, and that is going to be the case as airtone will get taken down, shut down, given over to Castro on the Smolder. Should help get to that second item sooner rather than later. Soccer going to take the worst of a trade in the bot lane, almost down to half health, as Andicus definitely flexing a little bit more of these mid lane muscles as he is threatening to all in Soccer after one more poor trade.
Yeah, and during that, I asked our production if they could kindly show Smolder stacks. Smolder is currently at 140 stacks, so they're
Ooh.
about 85 stacks away. So essentially, we're soon going to see this Elder buff do a little bit more damage. And so I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to turn out, because I feel like right now you're at the stage for the Iron team. You have a lead. You need to push it before Smolder gets to the final stacks. And on the other side, DZG is requiring to play safe and let Smolder get those stacks before they have another big fight. Because if they end up another big fight and they actually lose it, there's a potential that, the Iron team can just try to straight up end the game, or at least, make it punishing to the point that the inhibs are down and they have to force to defend their turrets.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, right now, Smolder, without that Elder buff and without, the second item, he's not really doing a lot of damage. And he is one of the 2 main damage dealers for the side of DZG. And without, getting to that 225 mark, without getting to that second item, he's really not outputting the same amount of damage that someone like the Ezreal is able to output at 2 items, at the completed Manamune and the Essence Reaver. As Scare the Week's going to land, Flash is going to be forced, Unleash Power going to go as well, Rajan going to be taken down to below half health here. We'll be able to kind of heal up a little bit with some of that lifesteal from the Doran's Blade, but a almost really good pickup for the side of DZG. It is giving Smolder a little bit of time to kind of farm up. We'll be able to recall and now pick up that Spear Shojin and work even more towards those stacks, as he now has even a more reduced cooldown on that Q. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Singe has now hit 2 items. Jace is at 2 items as well, so top lane relatively even, really just depending on who trades better. If Canny eats too much damage, or if Mint eats a bad flip, could mean a turn of tide for either side. But yeah, Dragon coming up in a minute. The IT looking to maybe secure this dragon and secure themselves the soul here. Wards are pretty strong for the side of the IT. On the side of the dragon, kind of a really good line with a little bit of invasive vision on this for the DZG jungle. But the IT has already taken their backs, where DZG has taken a bit of a staggered back here. Singe is now joining the fight. The rest of DZG is trying to get in here, trying to assert that mid lane prio, but that mid lane tier 1 is going to make that pretty hard. Castro going to need big damage here. Magnetstorm Cyclone going to land. Not a lot of damage, though, for the side of the IT, but it doesn't matter. Castro is going to be taken down by a well-timed flash. Scatter of the Weak not available either, but doesn't matter. Anik is going to be able to pick up 1. Anik is going to be able to pick up 2. Sakura a little late to the fight. Going to be using that ultimate, putting out a lot of damage. True Shot Barrage goes a bit wide. A really strong disengage from the side of DCG as the Swain ultimate times out. Re-engage opportunities are available here for DZG. Not a lot of big ultis, but available right now. But that's a really strong flip here. Min's going to be able to be potentially taken down here. Is going to be taken down by the side of DZG. Anik going unstoppable, picking up 3 of these kills. Rajan and Sakura, the only 2 left. Kaiser eating a bit of damage, but it is going to be a forced disengage for the side of the IT as DZG picks up a 4-for-1 for their first big team fight win for this game, and is going to be able to delay the soul and take their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, I honestly think the Iron team forgot that the ADC for DZG is really not a threat in the sense of you need to use all the abilities to commit to him. As soon as you get him to fly out and also flash, he's essentially not be able to do anything, and that they could have just, retreated. Hey, we got the sums. We may not have killed him, but he's not really a problem yet. Let's just focus on the objective. And instead, we ended up with both Wukong getting picked, so they immediately lost their jungle, so the chance to have a 50-50 smite, and basically Andy is just continuously getting stronger. I mean, despite the difference that they had at the beginning where Swain got that first blood.
Yeah. I mean, it's finally like a really, really strong fight for DZG. It's exciting to see that they're able to kind of put themselves up now. Well, they're still down 3k. But it puts him in a better spot. Those 3 kills picked up by Andicus is going to be really big as he's now 3 items completed, matching this Ezreal, who's just now completed those Navori Quick Blades. Smolder should be even closer now to the passive stack. Is sitting on a little bit of a component there for his 3rd item. But really now it's putting a lot of these, for DZG, putting a lot of their eggs into the Syndra basket, at least until Smolder can pick up a 3rd item and potentially those final stacks needed for the passive upgrade. Despite Anika's not having the ultimate there, I mean, he put out a lot of damage with some well-timed Qs and well-timed Scatter the Weaks to be able to kind of set up for his team. So if DZG can kind of create some space, create some peel, and create the ability for Syndra to burst a priority target, even specifically maybe the Ezreal or the Wukong here, that would be really great. But Syndra's on the bot side of the map here. A bit of an engage here, but not really from the side of the IT. True Shot Barrage going to hit Castro and Dylan, tank a little bit of damage off of their health bars. But overall, I mean, that's a very small price to pay. Airtone here trying to maybe find something. Flash Magnetstorm going to land here. Castro might get pulled back in. The ultimate's going to come down, but it won't be enough. Mom not going to do really much damage. Kaiser taking a lot of damage. Okami going to take a couple turret shots. But that's going to be a 2-for-0. A double kill picked up for the side of the IT. Anticus is here. Good Scatter of the Weak available. Great pop. Storm Surge going to blow them up. And that's going to be Airtone going to be the last survivor here. And that's going to be a triple kill picked up by Andicus. Andicus once again putting the team on his back here in 2 fights in a row, and that's going to be a very solid pickup for TZG. Their ability to maybe go for this Baron is an option, but maybe opting for this tier 1 turret as the bot lane, though, Mint is getting some good quality time with that bot lane tier 2 turret. Will take it down just around the same time as TZG takes down that mid tier 1. At least he should, but Singe, Canny's here. He's going to be able to take the blast plant. Mint, none the wiser here, going to channel his recall. Canny will get spotted by these minions. Mint maybe looking to trade. He's going to be able to use that adhesive trap to kind of flip him maybe into the range. Ooh, just a little fast, a little bit of happy feet going on. Mint trying to dodge out, but I mean, he's in a world of hurt. All 5 of DCG's members are here. Skylar Weequal and Anticus will go legendary 10-2-1 as DCG picks up another kill here, finally reducing that gold lead to under 2,000 gold, and DCG looking pretty good when Anticus is around.
Yeah, I mean, Andy has definitely proven to be the difference. Although I'm looking at this Smolder, and each time I look, I'm getting more sad about how he's getting these stacks. He is literally blowing his entire wave with his W. I'm not quite sure if he knows that he's not getting these stacks if he W's the entire wave the way he is.
Yeah, look at that. No.
So
yeah, that's such a delay on those stacks. He's only at 209, and I mean, we're at 30 minutes. I mean, granted, he's super close, but still.
Yeah, he honestly should have had it already. He's been doing it this entire time, and although I'm looking at, the our stream chat and they're saying give him the camps, I think he would be just as efficient by doing that. I think he would completely delete his camps just by using his W, and he's just there's that been definitely he definitely does not know the inner workings of Smolder yet, but he's hopefully on his way to learn that he should have more stacks than he really does right now.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for the side of DZG, ooh, hold that thought. Mint might get punished here. Scared of the Weak will land Vault Breaker as well. That's going to be a cease and desist as well. And that's going to be one big ultimate use for the side of DZG, but that's a really strong pickup 45 seconds before this dragon spawns, as DZG will be able to start gaining control of this bot river. Wards already being placed. That looks like the IT might get engaged on. Candy does have Flash and Ghost almost available along with that Insanity Potion as well, that ultimate. But it looks like their DZG's opting to try to get some of this mid lane control to be able to go for this dragon. Once again, delay the soul for the side of the IT and put themselves in a better spot. Canny will maybe look to create some vision or some control here by taking up this scuttle. Up here, Kaiser is on a good spot here. Ultimate not available for Vi, just charging up that Vault Breaker. Not going to be able to really engage much there. But, this entire delay, I mean, it's been 8 more seconds for the side of Mint to come back up. But Mint will be able to TP should he want to, so maybe not going to make the most out of this pick. Aside from just being able to kind of delete one off the board. TP will get channeled, though. That's in DZG territory, though. That's going to be a really nice flank. Uh-oh, camera. We're not seeing anything, but we're seeing Jace, though, getting engaged on here. Mint will get taken down. Mom will be called out. Magnet Storm, pretty massive here. Shutdown going to be picked up. Andik is going down. That's a lot of damage being taken away from DZG here. But, I mean, Sakura's just unkillable. He's literally not taking almost any damage here. Dylan the Beast trying his best. Vault Breakers, Cease and Desist coming up soon. Airtone going pretty low. Never Move gonna land. Force Dylan to stay on top of the Swain. Swain staying alive. He's drain tanking. That's gonna be the crash down coming up. Airtone gonna be taken down. Sakura's still alive here. Zanya's gonna pop here. But here comes Rajin trying to be able to clean up this fight. All the meanwhile, Okami's been soloing this dragon. Rajin's there now too. And that's DZG gonna be taken for a 2-for-1 or 2-for-2. Bud is going to lose the Dragon's Soul in the process. Not the greatest fight from DZG. Looked really good when they found Mint, but then the collapse from the IT was just so much better.
Yeah, I mean, the Jace definitely into with that TP, but it looks like he was just enough of a distraction that, Syndra could get picked, because honestly, without Syndra, DZG isn't really a threat in terms of the 100 to 0. Smolder still isn't there. I'm not quite sure why he built RFC as a third item instead of Navori Quick Blades, and during that trade, I'm watching him not really auto. I mean, you are an ADC, please auto, especially with your build. So there was a chance where he honestly could have killed one of them, but he ended up letting him walk away instead of continuously auto. And it just looks like someone that's just not comfortable with the strength of Smolder and doesn't understand it. I feel like potentially another ADC would have been a better fit and made this a little bit better of a bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely some of the things that you see with the comfortability of champions, especially when it comes to build paths. Sometimes you just kind of auto build into what's recommended, or sometimes you auto build into what's worked in the past. But into a situation like this, where the entirety of the damage that comes from the side of the IT is kind of in your face. Really, aside from the Ezreal, you really don't need that extended range. You're not necessarily looking to poke them down with your autos, where you have a Wukong and a Rel and a Swain kind of standing in your face and wanting to be in your face. You're gonna have to get through those 3 people, or those 3 champions, before you even touch the Ezreal, or maybe the Jace is in that fight as well. But before you even touch the Ezreal, which is where the rapid fire cannon really benefits from, you have to get through the rest of the IT, and I think that's really a huge oversight from the side of Castro here on the Smolder. I mean, the champion's only been out for a while, but I mean, still, item builds are still not an excuse. And like you said, maybe the Navori Quick Play might have been a little bit better. Kaiser, though, trying to engage here. Teleport coming out for the side of DZG as well. That is going to be the Syndra trying to pop it. That's a really strong disengage from the IT. They're going to be able to speed their way through and force that Syndra TP out. Swain walking his way up here. Didn't have TP to match. Will potentially try to dissuade the Baron here. Okami is going to be here. Going to get stunned up here. Cyclone going to land as well. Anarchus, though, has a lot of damage. Anarchus might be going down. Vision of the Empire will land. Anarchus got slowed and wasn't able to get away. True Shot Barrage going to hit as well here. Mom going to be called out. Dylan, though. Oh, Mom going wide here. Magnus Storm going to land. Dylan staying alive, though. We'll still have Castro going to be able... Ooh, I heard the pop. That means that Smolder's online. He does have that Elder Buff passive available now. Mint's gonna get grounded up, gonna get rooted, gonna get flipped, gonna get CC'd here. Pop goes the Weasel as Catcher picks up another one, but here comes Soccer. Oh, Soccer and Rajan coming to pick up these kills, clean up the fight for the side of the IT. Will look to be a really strong turnaround for the side of DZG. Is in vain, and that's gonna be a 4-4-3 for the side of the IT, and this Baron not long for this world either, as it's likely going to be taken for the side of the IT. Here comes Canny though, might try to run some distraction, does have the ultimate available in just a few more seconds. Ghost is up as well, trying to see what he can do, maybe looking, pop the Ghost, pop the Insanity Potion, trying to flip, Rajan will get flipped, Never Move gonna land though, Canny not super tanky, he's all damage, and that's going to be the ace for the side of the IT. The Baron taken as well, gold lead extended to 5,000, and with this Baron taken, you gotta bet that IT is looking to close out this game.
Yeah, during the earlier Dragon, for the fight for the soul, basically we did see, you know, Syndra, when she got picked, she immediately said, you know what, we definitely need to get some grievous wounds, but it looks like Syndra has sold that to opt for a little bit more damage, a little bit more safety, and so then we watched the pre-Baron fight. Unfortunately, we did not see Maokai use an ult in order to kind of validate Syndra's TP. Honestly, I think until Maokai uses his, or plans to use his ult, there was no reason for Syndra to TP, and it was further unfortunate that Andy went top lane where, you know, Wukong was waiting, but we also saw that Smolder, when he was using Mom, he honestly uses it at such a range that, you know, doesn't really take advantage of exactly how long Smolder's ult is.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely more of a long-range ulti, or an ulti that unfortunately missed. I don't even think it hit anybody, and it really didn't maximize the output. I understand trying to get into the fight there and trying to just output some damage, but it definitely kind of went between the goalposts per se, and definitely minimizes some of that damage that Castro now has in his kit. Ooh, Castro might get dope here. Okami is there. Two-man Cyclone gonna land here. Second Cyclone gonna just knock up Kaiser. Two-shot Barrage gonna land as well, but here comes the Mom. That's a good Mom there. That's gonna be hit on 3 in the clone. CC, Soccer gonna be able to Zanya's here. Airtone trying to create some space. Here comes Mint though. Ooh, big damage here. Okami looking to re-engage here. Mint is there as well. Rajan going on a rampage, but Smolder is still alive and popping. Here comes Canny trying to flip. 2 for 3 for the side of DZG right now. Canny trying to stay alive, trying to soak up some of that damage. Stun gonna land on the Soccer. A few more arrows, and that's gonna be it. Shutdown going over to Castro, as he's gonna be able to pick up that kill with that passive. Rajan, the only one alive. A solid fight, 3 for 4 for the side of DZG, as they're able to delay or stop the siege onto their base and remove 4 Barons from the map.
Yeah, I mean, looks like this game is gonna end pretty soon, as we're seeing Elder spawn now. We do have numbers for DZG, so hopefully they'll get the advantage, but we do see Jace with his TP option again, so they'll definitely be utilizing it. But right now, this Ezreal has been fed this entire game, and so he is definitely a threat that DZG needs to get rid of, as well as the Swain's ult.
Yeah, ooh, that's just one Mystic Shot. True Shot Barrage will hit Andicus as well. Andicus below half health. Castro trying to heal up. Now has Bloodthirster available as well. Good little bit of splash damage there as well from Castro. Kaiser trying to get in. We'll walk over a set of wards. We'll be able to... Actually, we'll not be able to clear up that red ward. Trinket going to be popped here, trying to clear some vision. Saplings will be dropped as well. Castro trying to pick up this red buff as fast as he can. This Elder, like you mentioned, is up and available. Both teams getting onto the map. It does look like the IT is going to get fully on the map first, as the rest of DCG is trying to make it there as quickly as possible. Rajan just weaving some Mystic Shots. Will whiff on a couple. Won't be able to poke them down just yet. The IT trying to get some of this mid lane control here with the Swain. A quick engage might be available here from DZG. Airtone trying to just create some space. Shock Blast going to land a good chunk of damage. Nothing to scoff at there, as Anakin's going to be losing about a fourth of his health there. Now below half health, another True Shot Barrage going to land. Twisted Advance going to land is here as well. Okami going to get shot. Mom going to be landing there as well. Anakin will take down Mint. DCG trying to find the rest of the IT. Dylan will go down. Actually, Dylan is alive here. It's 3 for 1 for the side of DZG so far. Castro's being untouched so far, though. Nevermove gonna miss. Soccer doesn't have that ulti available anymore. Will get taken down. Shutdown going over to the side of Andicus, and that's gonna be a 4 for 1 for the side of DZG, and this is quite clearly the Belder buff for the side of DZG. Okami trying to maybe look for something. Will get spotted out by Candy. I'm sorry, will not be able to get away here. Full DZG commit here onto Okami. An ace going to come out for the side of DZG. A clean fight, reducing that gold lead to now 1500. This Elder buff will only augment that gold deficit here, as they're going to be able to lock that in and look for maybe this the Baron that spawns in a minute and a half, or just one more good fight to hopefully end this game.
That was quite a fight. It was amazing to see DZG come out the with the better half, but it looked like they forgot that Smolder needs to be deleted now. He has that Elder buff before the actual Elder buff. You need to get rid of him. He is a threat. You need to make sure that you can CC him. Honestly, I felt like Maokai missed an opportunity to throw his ult a little bit early. That DG kind of walked into a bunch of fighting and honestly missed an opportunity to engage a little bit early with Maokai's ult. It looked like he's kind of playing backwards instead of in the front of his team, like kind of where he is right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing pretty far back. Maybe just looking to be that disengage tool with that Nature's Grasp, or I don't know. But you said, yeah, I mean, he's playing pretty far back, but it's a very valid point. I mean, Castro on that Smolder, he is a champion now. You can no longer ignore this Smolder. He is online, and that's kind of what DG's been waiting for, is for Smolder to really get to that item breakpoint and that passive breakpoint. And at 40 minutes, I mean, I'd be remiss if it wasn't the time for Smolder to shine now. It took a while, but DZG's there, and I mean, they're showing it now. Being able to siege down this top lane turret, that's 2 turrets being taken down for the side of DZG. 15 seconds on this Baron, and about another 2.5 minutes for the Elder buff to run out, or a minute and a half, I'm sorry, for the Elder buff to run out. DZG is going to be able to turn their attention onto this Baron and almost taunt the IT, saying, come and get it. If you don't come for this Baron, we're going to take it, and we're going to run your base. But does the IT want to take this fight? It's going to be an Elder empowered DZG versus the IT. Baron now below half health. It's going down pretty quickly. Okami not really in the area to be able to go for the steal. Kenny taking down a lot of damage. It's going to be the ultimate drop down here for the side for Soccer. Big Mom, doesn't matter. Okami, though, picking up 2. Picking up 1, that's 2. DZG, oh no, they're losing this fight despite the Elder buff. That's going to be a 4-for-1 for the side of the IT. That Elder buff was just not enough. Castro was found way too soon, not able to out DPS. Antic short to follow, and this is surely the end of the game, and IT is going to be try to run them down with the wave that they have. Death timers 35 being the shortest one, 40 for the rest of DZG. That's going to be one inhibitor taken down here. They're trying to escort the wave, trying to tank a little bit of damage. Cammy's going to have to pull a miracle out of his pocket here. Trying to get in there won't matter. He has really no defensive stats aside from the chain vest and the plated seal caps, and that's going to be game 1 going over to the side of the IT. A very back and forth game that definitely could have been taken by anybody. Just down to one big fight.
Yeah, I mean, they were just, for that Baron call, there just was not a lot of defensive setups. You didn't see Maokai set up his little saplings where you would expect, to have that buffer so that way you have some space and immediately, ult so that you can turn on the team while you have Elder buff instead of staying on this Baron. And essentially, they just let the other team walk onto them, and they have so much CC chain and not enough to stop the Swain that, essentially Swain just got to sit there in AFK.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what we saw a lot of in this game, is the Swain literally just popping ulti and sitting there. And aside from Castro on Smolder building the full Mortal Reminder, DZG had, I mean, they have Grievous through Singe ulti, but really that's it. I mean, the Singe having to get through and being able to stick onto the Swain isn't necessarily what they want to do. But it really kind of bit them in the behind a lot of these fights, with the Swain just being able to kind of drain tank, stay alive, pop the Demon Flare, and just kind of just create this huge zone of AoE damage. All the while, Rajan on the Ezreal was just able to just puck shot, Qs and Qs and Qs, and just be able to do all this damage to them. And I mean, you see it in the damage charts. Rajan on the Ezreal and Soccer on the Swain were the top damage in this game, aside from Cammy on the Singed. That really was the biggest source of damage for the side for both teams. I think DZG is definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board here and reevaluate kind of what they want to leave open and how they play some of this early game aggression, especially when you have 2 scaling champions in the Syndra and the Smolder. And, I think losing that early game as hard as they did really made them play on this back foot, even after the Elder fight, even prior to that, even after those 2 fights where Andik has picked up 3 to 4 kills per fight, they were still down gold essentially the entire game. And playing that uphill battle is not something you want to have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm looking forward to see how DZ plans to come back, as well as to see what adjustments the IN team will make accordingly.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll take a quick break as we get set up for game number 2, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game 2 of DZG Arcadia versus the IT in week 1 of the BOL Emerald League. Welcome back, everyone, to game 2 of DZG versus the INT team. DZG opting to swap sides here. DZG taking the red, the INT taking an INT in team. There's no I in the letter T. Um, Taking blue side. Bands staying relatively the same, at least in the first two. You know, the Sivir, the Lilia, the Diana staying the same. DZG may opt to change a couple things around. Orianna being taken away. Maybe the Swain's removed. Maybe the Ezreal's removed. Definitely some of those problem champions that were left up for the Iron team. Instead, it will be the Maokai removed, as it is a very strong flex and maybe a very strong flex for the side of the Iron team. But they have a lot of options still available. Ezreal's still up. The Swain's still up. Wukong, Rel, pretty much their entire team is still available from the entire draft is still available. A couple of power picks still available as well. Things like the Senna, the Karma. A lot of strong picks available here for first pick. The Smolder being another one as well, as that is likely going to be locked in from the Iron team.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that the other team has now opted to try to do the smolder. Is it more of a ego pick or do they actually play it? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, and I mean it is still probably, if not one of the strongest, if not the strongest ADC pick available right now. As it hasn't necessarily been touched. Um, And like we mentioned in the previous game, I mean, it's really a scaling pick, and DZG opting to try to punish that with the Zac being able to kind of get into that backline and not worry about what's in front. The Varus, a traditionally very strong early to mid lane pick with range, with burst, depending on the picks, depending on what the Iron team rounds up their comp with, of flexibility of builds as well. Definitely looking to punish the Smolder early, try to take this lane advantage, and kind of do what the Iron team did in game one, but in reverse, and really take control of this early game. The INT will lock in the Alistair, so definitely creating some more space, and I like that. I think Smolder does really well with peel supports, does really well when space can be created and defended. And ooh, Shyvana could be kind of spicy. I think Okima is actually quite a strong Shyvana player, if I remember correctly, and it will be locked in. It's a fun pick, a good strong dragon on dragon action. Azel's still available as well. Maybe we'll get that too. But dual dragons locked in for the side of the Iron team.
Yeah, I mean, Zach can kind of go jungle, can go support, can go top. So, I mean, Zach can be a flex pick, but ideally, I think we're going to look at it as maybe jungle or support here. I think it's a great answer to Smolder just because you can see it. And then the lockdown that you have from Varus and Zach. And now, where do you think this volley is? Jungle or
Ooh.
top?
I think it's. I want to say it goes top. I want to say it's a really strong pick in the top lane right now. We've been seeing the rounds of a really strong, full tank Volibear. I got to experience it yesterday, both on my side and on the enemy side. And let me tell you, that monster of a bear does not die when he hits those power spikes. And I mean, Smolder may not be enough to actually take this Volibear down, especially if it ends up being the only consistent damage. As Shyvana will likely go that AP route. But I could see it going either way. I think it'll go top. I guess you could still flex it, much like you mentioned. The Zac can go top instead. Volibear can go in the jungle. Volibear jungle into Shyvana might work pretty well because Shyvana wouldn't be able to really outduel him, even in the full tank build. All the while, though, bans are continuing. Vi will be removed, which is interesting. Maybe they're expecting the Vi it's a strong pick into Smolder to lock him down, but I guess I just really don't want to risk the Zac and the Volibear being flexed, where DZG wants to get rid of the Swain and the Scion, which still leaves things like the Brand and the Malzahar available this time for the side of the IT, um, as Malzahar was banned last time. So we'll have to see what they picked. I'm assuming there's going to be a mid pick here to kind of keep that ambiguity of where the Zac and the Volibear go. Karma's still available, Azir available, which was banned out last game. We'll have to really see what Andicus would like to take, or if they're just going to kind of show their hand. And it will be the Syndra again, which was a really strong performance from Andicus here, and rightfully so will be taken when available.
I'm currently getting some memories of the last time I watched this. I believe it was Elysium when
Oh
they
boy.
played Syndra for most of the series. I hope Andy's not tired of that champ yet because he looked great on it last game.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he did great. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, if we go to a game three, hopefully it won't be a three game of Syndra because they can get pretty dull. Aatrox will be locked in the top lane, so that definitely gives DCG the last bit of info that they need of where the Zac and Volibear are going. Mid lane available picks. I mean, Brand Malzahar available. Malzahar not terrible for just constant wave clear. Um, I don't think it would be a melee matchup that they would opt to go into. Yone is another champion that the mid laner has played last season. Ari is available as well. Kassadin's a very interesting pick because that's not something that you see in his history. But hey, why not? Traditional pick Kassadin to Syndra. On paper, Kassadin wins it later, but it's definitely a choice. A very short range team for the side of the IT into what DZG has to offer.
Yeah, I'm not really like the Kassadin pick out of the choices, and it doesn't even look like he's played it this season. So I'm kind of curious why they opted for this Kassadin at this current time, just because Syndra will get to punishment early, and if you give Annie a chance to build a lead, I don't think Kassadin will make it to that level 16 that he needs.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But it is going to be the Kled locked in for DZG, so they're all in on this hard dive, hard engage with the Volibear Zac. Likely the Zac now going support, Volibear going in the jungle, Kled opting to answer this Aatrox. He does have that Grievous Wounds built in, another champion that has it built into his kit. But DZG definitely having a bit more of a straightforward ease of execution comp here this time. It's a very just run in, and Syndra and Varus will do some damage after the initial engage, and they can play relatively removed from the scramble that it's going to be that team fight, where the Iron team is now the team that is opting for hard scaling. Smolder and Kassadin, significantly harder scaling than last game of Smolder and Syndra. It is truly your bot and mid are focusing solely on scaling, where your Aatrox and Shyvana are really these tools that you're going to have available to allow you to kind of get through the early and the mid game. So we'll have to see what DZG does to take advantage of the scaling team comp from the side of the IT.
No, I definitely agree. At this current moment, depending on how this results, if the Iron team does not pull a W, I'm gonna start that Smolder may be the biggest bait for scaling.
It's one of the things that we talked about. I mean, you mentioned, even while we were off the air, is you gotta be really focused on that scaling portion that comes from Smolder. Your words, like if I'm being asked to drop a wave, I'm gonna say no. Like I'm not gonna drop a wave for your objective, and I'm gonna focus on scaling up and getting to those 225 as soon as possible. And I think, like you said, that could be a really big bait for some teams of saying, well, we got to secure this first dragon, and I mean, what do you mean you don't have bot lane pressure? What do you mean you don't have, first move, or just give up the wave and come? We need you. It could be a really big bait if teams aren't used to playing with stacking champions. Veigar was the most popular stacking champion, in the mid lane, sometimes in the bot lane. But when you're putting that kind of role into the bot lane, it definitely is a learning curve for some teams to kind of not expect that. And in this game, even more so, if I'm the side of the IT, I'm sacking these dragons. And the downside is you really don't want to when you have Shyvana, because she benefits from that passive of taking dragons. It's a 5% increase every time she takes a dragon. And so you're kind of already limiting yourself to what you can do unless you play through that bot lane and get them ahead super early, or you force the TP coming in from the Aatrox because he's doing really strong. It's a lot of these moving chess pieces that's going to make it really difficult for the IT to kind of successfully do what they want to do if DZG is able to even get a small bit of a lead.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing if DZG is going to react and try to shut down this Smolder, or will they try to pick fights where solely around their solo lanes? Because right now mid lane needs to scale. So that means that Syndra has the opportunity to rotate down or up and kind of make a lead out of somewhere. So I'm kind of curious whether or not this jungle is going to find themselves in a skirmish, and all of a sudden the wild Syndra appears and makes a definite competitive favor in favor of DZG.
Agreed. I really think DCG has the edge here, at least in my opinion, to, like you said, kind of div- move away from the traditional just laning phase and move their pieces around, move the Syndra around, move the Zac around, who's another really great roamer, and kind of help establish this lead by invading, or establish this lead by, overloading a lane and really saying to Cass and Smolder, you can't do anything because you're scaling. But with that note, we'll go to a quick or a quick break as we wait for game two to load in. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 2 of DZG Arcadia versus the IT. Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 of DZG Arcadia versus the IN team. DZG is on your red side, the IN team is on the blue side, and it looks like both teams are once again going to opt to a 5-point start here, not really give up too much pressure. However, we did see some cheeky invades. Ooh, quick ward drop here. Okami will not be able to pick it up. The ward will stay, and DZG getting the first bit of vision to them in the second game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's most interesting thing is going to come from bot lane because both ADCs can go two different builds. Well, Smolder can go about three different builds. I was checking his OPGG and I saw three different types of builds, so I'm kind of curious which one he's opted for this game. But also, Varus can go the lethality build, and that will pretty much delete Smolder on site. So I'm kind of curious which build both ADCs are going to opt for in this game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the build paths like you mentioned. I mean, are there's options available to them. I think the Varus going the lethal tempo likely means that he'll go on hit. Though, I mean, despite it, I mean, he could still go lethality, which I think is pretty solid here. Unless the Shyvana goes like a hybrid build and goes into like the bruisery kind of AP build, you're really kind of like looking to land some of these Qs. Maybe he's more worried about the Aatrox and the Alistar being on top of him. Where Smolder really has, the world is his oyster. He can go the AD build, he can go the mix build, he can go full AP with the Leanders and the Riftmaker. We'll really have to see what fits what they want to do. Ooh, quick pullback with the stretching strikes. Airtone gonna get a quick knock-up as well. Airtone going to be a bit worse for wear here. Castro definitely asserting a little bit more dominance in this game now that he doesn't have to worry too much about that scaling ADC that is Smolder is now able to play more of the punishing side. Top lane wise, it looks like, top lane wise, it looks like Canny's asserting his own dominance here, hitting the level 2 sooner, right before Mint. Bear Trap and a Rope gonna land, the Joust gonna land as well. Pullback will be there. Mint will hit level 2 though. We'll have access to those chains. We'll miss though, and Canny's able to kind of walk back. Stretching strikes will land once more. Rajan taking a bit of damage. Ooh, Elastic Slink shot was popped there, was canceled though, so that's always a good sign. And Anikus in the mid lane just asserting dominance here as well to that Kassadin, who's just looking to make it to 16 and be happy.
Well, like I mentioned in game 1, it was interesting to see that both DZG's bot lane just seems to be stuck to glue to each other, and Smolder was able to get both stacks because they were both standing on top of each other. So hopefully we don't see them layer themselves like they are right now. And so that Smolder doesn't get the stacks as early. But we're seeing it.
Yeah, Okami gets invaded here, and it is going to be Dylan the Beast potentially getting collapsed on though. But Anikus is a lot stronger. Ooh, Scare the Week's going to miss here. Dylan the Beast does have access to that bite, and that Sky Splitter gonna land as well. Elastic Slingshot gonna land as well. 2 kills picked up by DZG here. Flash Stretching Strike's gonna land as well. Airtone trying to maybe follow up, is gonna be able to headbutt Pulverize in 2 separate occasions. Airtone does have Flash available, will opt to let it go. Castro will pick up another kill. 3 for 0 for the side of DZG. A much stronger early game for the side of DZG.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan's invade was a great call. He got both the buff and managed to get his team a huge lead, which, I mean, like I said earlier, potentially Smolder is the biggest bait. You don't want these fights.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of almost just forced to give up that jungle pressure. I mean, that's the downside of having such a scaling reliant mid and ADC. You really can't follow up. We saw Kassadin follow up, try to kind of collapse. He gave the Volibear like 1 auto attack and then had to run. But here comes Airtone. Flash gonna be drop popped early by Canny, saying, I don't even want to be locked up here. I don't even want to worry about this. But yeah, I think you're right. Also with the Smolder, what's he gonna do? Like, he's gonna fly in there and drop a Q and maybe a couple autos, but realistically, he doesn't really do much early, and it's gonna be a very difficult time for Okami here in the jungle to really have any reliable pressure from either of his bot or mid lane, and to have some of the defense needed to not get repeated on repeat here. Mint gonna get locked up here with the Bear Trap on a rope. Vicious strikes in the line as well. Kenny will unmount as Kled hits level 5. Still a little bit better for wear here as he's able to zone off. The Blunder Bust is going to be able to be procced here should Mint get close enough. A quick little side gank from the side of Kaiser here on the Zac as the Krugs are likely going to be the next play for the side, not Krugs, Grubs are going to be the next play for the side of DZG as we're already rotating the support. However, it does leave Castro in a bit of a problem here as the Ghost will be popped. Pulverize Headbutt combo going to drop. Flash going to be blown. Both Summoners going to be expended by Castro, not respecting the fact that his support had roamed and that he was spotted on some wards, so he does end up paying for it in those Summoner spells.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as your support roams, that turret is your best friend. stay there.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely. I mean, you gotta like, yes, you can maybe with the Varus pick up a couple of CS from a little bit further away with that piercing arrow or with the hail of arrows or anything like that. But aside from that, yeah, you gotta stay on that turret. However, we talked about first dragons being given up just based off of, you know, the weakness in this bot lane, but no, it's going to be the first dragon picked up for the side of the IT here. Unfortunately, that is going to be the pickup here for the side of DZG picking up the kill in the mid lane. Anarchist going 2-0 now, definitely establishing this lead early on. It looked like it wasn't going to work out with that only level 1 of the elastic slingshot. Not really the most reliable engage, does not provide enough range, but DZG was able to kind of clean that up, and Anik is already up 20 CS on this mid laner. It's definitely gonna, we're seeing that dominance that we were kind of expecting in game number 1 here, when Soccer's put on maybe something less comfortable like this Kassadin.
Yeah, and also this Kassadin needs to scale, which means that he doesn't really want to have these fights.
Ooh, knockup gonna land here. Castro doesn't have flash available to him. Rajan going in there with that flight. One more auto will be enough here, and it is gonna be the trade kill, 1-for-1. Castro able to land those blight stacks and that piercing arrow, so it is gonna be a trade kill. But it may benefit Smolder just a little bit more, as he really shouldn't be in the position to be able to trade kills here. But nonetheless, DZG able to trade 1-for-1. Really solid engage from Airtone there on the bot lane.
Yeah, I concur. I think Smolder definitely takes the benefit of these trades because he did get the double stacks with his W yet again, and then he
Yup.
also got the Q stack. So that means he's freely stacking on just the fights alone, and that's not really what you want to see from the opponent Smolder. But at the same time, Varus did get the kill, so maybe this may turn out to be something, you know, in benefit of the bot lane. It is good to see that DZG's bot lane is ahead for once.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, there is still a benefit of the Varus being able to pick up these kills now sitting on pickaxe, and the Vamp Scepter has a little bit more sustain, has a little bit more damage. Anarchist will spot out this Airtone roam here, as the ward will give him vision. However, Kaiser not spotted just yet, so this is a support 2v2 mid lane matchup. Scatter the Weak will land on 2. Soccer will eat the worst of that trade. Rajan going pretty low here. Chains of Corruption was used in order to be able to secure that big chunk of damage. And just as quickly as he came, Rajan's likely going to have to reset here. Q going to be used to stack here. The wave's going to be pretty low. Ooh, one more auto might actually be enough. Flash and Ghost not available. Scatter the Weak going to land. That's going to be Unleash Power. Will not be enough as Kassadin's able to use that Q to be able, the Null Sphere, I think, to be able to kind of give himself a little bit more health there. Kaiser's here. Elastic Slingshot might land, will not land. Stretchy Strikes will. The turret will be used to pull in. Anik is going to be able to pick up the kill. The Zac passive still available? Will not matter. Kaiser will be able to walk away. Canny looking to kind of scare off Okami here. Okami will be dove underneath turret. Not going to be dropping as well. Canny will unmount due to the turret shots that are taken. Wave not available. Dylan going to find Rajan here. Going to be knocked up. Sky Splitter going to land. Ultimate going to be used as well. Rajan with a really good flash here. Does not matter though, as Airtone going to pay for the sins of his ADC. And that's going to be a 2-for-0 across, or yeah, 2-for-0 for the side of DZG.
Yeah, that was a great closeout by Jungle and ADC for DZG, but unfortunately the support overcommitted with his E, didn't try to block out the exit path that Smolder had, but hopefully, you know, now that you've communicated that Smolder doesn't have his flash, you can do this again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Smolder with no sums, easy dive target, especially when you have things like the Volibear and the Zac. I mean, Volibear jungle, once his ultimate comes back, he can turn off the turret. Even prior to that, I mean, he's still relatively tanky. Zac actually still have his passive available, so even more aggressive plays available. Scatter the Weak will land here. The empowered minion throw there is also going to be enough to kind of deal up some more damage. Airtone spending a lot of time in this mid lane, and I get it. It goes back towards, you know, the Smolder looking to just scale up and not really looking to fight. But he's kind of falling behind when it comes to EXP here. Already a level down from Kaiser. It gives Castro time in the bot lane as well, and the Zac roams are just working a little bit better. So even though both supports may be roaming, Kaiser's roams are just working a bit more favorable, and he's almost finding the right time to kind of balance between roaming and going back to lane and making the most time that he can. Meanwhile, though, speaking of making the most that he can, Castro might get caught out here. Ultimate not available for the Alistar just yet. Teleport will be channeled here. Here comes Syndra. Doesn't matter though. Chains of Corruption will land, and that's going to be a kill picked up. That's going to be Mom called out, but Unleash Power might likely be enough. That's going to be Shyvana coming in with the Dragon Form. Shutdown going to be picked up by Okami here. Really good usage of his abilities and being able to pick up a pretty big shutdown. So that's going to be a 2-for-1 for the side of DZG still though. Mint will likely get dove as well. Flash going to be forced out. Kaiser does still have it. The charge going to be used here. Turret will be turned off as well. Mint trying to live as long as he can. That's a lot of sustain here. Mint actually coming out on top here. Airtone is there as well. Flash can be used by Canny here, but that's going to be a successful 1v3 for the side of Mint here, or for the side of the INT. Mint just sustaining through it all, able to land those Q1, 2, and 3, and those autos in between to sustain and live through that dive.
Yeah, I think it's crucial to note that they did not have Ignite at the time. Honestly, I think you just call out the dive and just say, you know what, he has healing, we have no way of stopping it.
Castro does have Flash available, gonna use it pretty early here, but here comes Soccer. Nope, they're just gonna call it off, say, hey, you know what, we'll take it. We'll take his Flash.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the Iron kind of still sitting mid. I mean, it's kind of like, which scaling champ do I want to grief more? Right now, he's griefing his Cassin because he's keeping his levels down as well. So, I mean, maybe they realize, hey, our mid lane is not our biggest carry. Let's let Smolder get his levels, and let's just try to get you to not die early.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point I didn't even think about. He really is delaying this Cassidon from hitting level 16 sooner rather than later. I mean, he's already down a level just based off of this sharing of EXP. Kaiser, though, doing a similar service here, staying in the mid lane, maybe not soaking up too much of the EXP, just letting Syndra be able to crash. But that is going to be a second dragon picked up in the meanwhile for the side of the Iron team. It's still going to be really good for Shyvana. I mean, that's a base stat increases just because of being able to pick up these dragons. Kaiser, though, sitting in these Raptor pit, maybe thinking about channeling this Alexis Link shot. Turret is here. Kaiser really guessing, thinking about it. Not going to be able to do. Riftwalk going to come through. I guess Soccer said, you know what? This one's on me. I'm just going to give it to you for free. But meanwhile, Castro going to be taken down. Zach, once again with the roams, puts Castro in a position of a 2v1. And Castro not respecting what this Alistar can do, Alistar Smolder combo can do, despite Smolder being a scaling champion. That's really not a good thing to do here, to give Rajan more resources this early.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you would think that by now you would have Spidey senses. Let's not pick a fight. I mean, he's not exactly the most mobile with his current build. I mean, with the Yomus, at least he has even more chance of getting away. But right now, he's going for that on-hit build, which means that he needs to have these trades. But at the same time, he cannot have these 1v2 trades consistently because Smolder will win out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most interesting part, because if we take a look at, you know, where we were in game 1 versus where we are in game 2, Smolder-wise, Smolder's in a good spot right now. I mean, ADCS at 13 minutes, having that Essence Reaver completed, the Lucidity Boots as well. He's very much on par, if not above par, to where you would expect a Smolder just because of a shutdown and a kill. Anarchist might be on the wrong side of dodge here. Ooh, the Pulverized Flash combo not gonna miss, or not gonna land, is actually gonna miss there. As it just was not at the right time here. Canny eating a lot of damage here. Mom will be called in the bot lane. Dive coming in through. Blade of the Ruin King gonna land. Chains of Corruption as well. One more ability might be enough. Ignite will be what takes it down. Kaiser picking up the kill. Meanwhile, on the top lane, the turn up for the side of DZG. Okami gonna be forced to flash away here. Airtone trying to survive as long as he can. Soccer's here as well, trying to stack some of these Riftwalk passives or abilities up. Oh, that's 2 kills. Cassidy was able to stack up that Riftwalk and be able to clean up this fight. Would look to be a turn fight for the side of DZG. It actually turns in favor of the side of the IT. That's going to be a 3-for-1 for their side. And I mean, granted, it's still for sure being taken down by DZG. Full 5 plating going over to Castro. That's still gonna keep their lead up at 4,000 gold. But those are some really crucial kills picked up by Cassidy, who was effectively very, very behind based on the early game, is now a little bit less worse for wear.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the one thing that they need to take away, that they did take away from game 1, is that when you see an opportunity that you've gotten all the things that you've needed, disengage. I don't believe that there was any need or reason to kind of continue with that fight up top. Once you kill that Aatrox, just back off. You already know that Syndra was low, that, you know, he basically had to survive. There's no reason to try to pick another fight so soon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Syndra was on her way up. You saw 3 of your team members already not being, 3 of them already committing to picking up Syndra, so they were clearly coming up there. And like you said, they should have just disengaged after the Kled picked up the kill and just kind of called it at that. But DZG not letting that set them back. They are going to be able to pick up that Rift Herald here. The Volibear will be able to pilot that should he choose to. Keeping that gold lead at about 4,000. Airtone might be on the wrong side here of his own jungle here, but Okami does have the ultimate available. Is actually level 10 to Dylan's level 8. You know, all these ganks are actually kind of maybe hindering him as Dylan eating a lot of damage here. Doesn't have the ultimate available just yet for a few more seconds. There it is, but it doesn't matter. Okami's going to go ahead and follow that up with his own ultimate. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Kled ran down the Kassadin, who is only level, I believe, 10. So it's not necessarily able to do that. Dive coming through. Airtone does have the ultimate available. That is going to be the ultimate drop. Castro going to be taken down here. Kaiser Coolness going to be using that bounce to try to get as much value out of this wave clear as possible. Will get pulled back by the chains, but it won't matter. Andika's taking a lot of turret shots here. Sky of the Week gonna land. Unleash Power gonna be there as well. Rajan just needs one more well-timed Q, and that is gonna be the kill. Andika's gonna be taken down. The Smolder kind of working out right now as he's able to pick up another kill that he really shouldn't have been able to. DZG kind of losing across the board aside from that bot lane. A 2-for-1 in favor of the IT, reducing this gold lead now to 3,500. Soccer here, though, maybe looking to do something. Won't be able to. Canny will kind of bump that lead back up to 4,000 by taking that tier 2 turret. But DZG making a couple of overextension misplays here.
Yeah, I mean, currently the Iron team has it set up to play this longer game out. I mean, Smolder is going for that Spear of Soulgen right now. He already has Essence Reaver, so he's scaling, and he also has the stacks to prove that he's scaling. And unfortunately, he's proving to get the better in most of these fights.
Ooh, Airtone not going to be able to land onto Castro there. He was really trying to. TP coming through for the side of the Iron team as Aatrox is here. 5v5 situation here. This dragon is up. This is third dragon. Soul point potentially for the side of the IT. But it looks like DZG is having a really hard time approaching this. Kind of split here. 2 in the mid, 1 in the mid-side jungle, 1 in the bot-side jungle. They're really trying to get in here, and I mean, they're able to get the mid-lane pressure here, but Smolder's just going to pick up these free stacks with his Q and say thank you so much for your donation. But DZG able to get onto this dragon. Now the IT's split out here. Okami does have that ultimate to get through. Airtron trying to brute force his way through with the ultimate, with the knockup. That's the 4-man knockup. Mom going to land. That's a huge Mom setup. Mint able to pick up 2 of these kills. Dragon going to be dangerously low. Smite coming in too early for the side of Okami. Dylan going to be able to pick that up. First dragon for DZG, but it does not matter. That's going to be a triple kill picked up by Mint. Kassadin picking up one of those kills, and that's going to be a 4-for-0 for the side of the IT. However, dragon was secured by the side of DZG, but at what cost? Canny, last member alive here, trying to figure out a way out of this. Might get dove here. Airtone does have ultimate available. Unbreakable Will is here. Canny trying to get away, will get knocked up, will get delayed, will get CC'd, will get knocked off. Soccer trying to be the one to tank here. Now it's Airtone again. Zach Elastic Slingshot coming through. Soccer biting off too much of it, more than he could chew. Kled picking up a double kill. Rajan going to be the third one. Actually, it's Zach who picks that up, and that's a 3-for-0. DZG just punishing the overextension. Okami on the wrong side either. Doesn't have the jump available. Does have flash. Going to be able to flash over the wall here. Stretching strikes won't be able to land and pull back, but that's a donated 3 kills by the side of the IT saying, never mind, take your lead back. You can have it. And yeah, just a couple of mistakes on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of saw that Smolder kind of had that opportunity where he kind of was standing by himself. There was no front line. Why not turn on him? You have the Zac jump. You have Kled to ult. Just run at him. Delete him before he even, like, granted, he'll still get to use his mom, but he's not going anywhere if you have this much CC. But they opted to focus on the Drake and looked like they got popped mostly because they were standing on top of each other yet again. And the team got the better team fight around the dragon, but then the Iron team overstayed when they were pushing, and you know, DZG was able to come back some. But I mean, it is an Ocean Drake, so maybe it'll help against the Elder buff that is incoming from Smolder. But at the same time, you really don't want to take these trades as much as for Smolder to be around, because he's going to get the better half currently, unless you take him from the fight early.
Yeah, I 100% agreed. Like, this is these trades, the INT will take. Like, they are getting. They're getting so much out of it, right? Like, Smolder's at 3 kills, Kassadin's at 3 kills. Ooh, hold that thought, Rajan. Ooh, stretching strikes actually going wide The Blade of the Rune King was popped. Kaiser doesn't have the passive available. He may have the passive available. Mom coming through. Good damage there. Kaiser going low. Chains of Corruption will land and will actually allow for the disengage to happen. But that's still a... Actually, they didn't even get the flash from the Zac, so really great job by Kaiser holding on to that ability, knowing full well that he can be able to get away from that. Meanwhile, because of that commitment in the mid lane, Canny's able to pick up a turret and extend that DZG gold lead back up to 4,000. Meanwhile, Soccer soaking up some EXP. He's only level 11, though. You know, he's level... It's at 20 minutes. He didn't pick up that Rod of Ages, so he doesn't really get that pop from the passive to get that free level. So, to be fair, Kassadin's really still actually pretty far off from that level 16. Granted, he's picking up some of that solo EXP. I think something to note is that Shyvana actually ended up going the Bruiser build. She went Titanic and she went Iceborne Gauntlet, so she is the front line. So Castro's choice to opt into the on-hit build actually paying a lot more dividends than it would into the AP build, but it also provides a very strong front line for the Kassadin and specifically for the Smolder. He has the Aatrox, he has the Shyvana, and the Alistar to kind of stand in front. Okami, though, Sky Splitter and the Thundering Blow going to land here, going to be forced to buffer that ultimate to get away, and that's a huge cooldown to be wasted right before this dragon spawns. Ooh, really good blast plant here from Dylan the Beast, and that's going to be the pickup here for Castro. Okami actually blundering here. A minute till the dragon spawns, 30 seconds till he respawns. He will be available for the dragon, but DZG doesn't really care. They're saying, hey, we got the dragon, we got their dragon, we got their jungler, we can go for this Baron. Canny is here as well, setting up some quick vision. DZG will get spotted on the Scuttle Crab, and it's potentially a 45 situation should should the Iron team want this fight. Kaiser going to be clearing up some of this vision. Airtone and Mint already here. Soccer and Rajan are here. This is still a not super strong mid ADC here, looking for this fight. Maybe a little bit more than Nikki Chu. Shut down. Mint's going to be taken down here. The Mom actually going to do a great chunk of damage, but it does not matter. The front line's not there, especially when Shyvana's not there. And the Aatrox dies so quickly. Flash going to be forced here. It won't be available for a re-engage, but it looked kind of not too bad. It's actually going to force DZG off of the Baron. They're not going to be able to just get this for free. Shyvana's back up now, charging their way through. Smolder trying to slow down some of these resets so that they're a little bit late to this dragon. But despite losing 2, the IT stops that Baron attempt from the side of DZG at the cost of 2 of their members.
Yeah, and currently Smolder's at 208. So right now, whether or not they get this Drake, looks like Smolder is about to be online really soon. And if he had Elder Buff in that fight, I feel like he would have deleted everyone. There was an opportunity where I watched Zac jump into the team. He did have an amazing engage, but then he didn't use his Q immediately to switch out all the way into Raijin to try to delete him as a threat. Because if you CC him, that dragon does not have the ability to move. You can kill him easily, but if you let him do all of his abilities, he's basically gets some free damage on you guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think DZG really got to reevaluate who they're targeting in some of these fights. DZG already starting up this Ocean Dragon. Elastic Slingshot going to be channeled here. That's a big jump here. Actually going to go wide. Stretching Strike's not going to land either. Shyvana going in. Big Mom ult angle right here, but that's actually Anakin just completely blowing up the Kassadin here. Aatrox picking up 2 here. 2v3, 3v4 situation for the side of DZG here. That's going to be Canny picking up another one. Kaiser going pretty low, but Rajan doesn't have the Elder Stack buff yet. He is free hitting the big Elastic Slingshot by Kaiser, finding the knockup he needs, and Anik is cleaning up that fight. Ace for the side of DZG as they're going to be able to pick up their second dragon of the game and extend that gold lead now to above 6,000. But that is the fight that you want as DZG. That is the target calling that you want to be able to take down and push that Smolder out of those fights.
Yeah, I mean, the Kassadin really isn't a threat. I feel like he's still a bait. You can CC him, but I honestly think deleting that Smolder is crucial to every team fight because that is the main person that is putting out damage. Aatrox will heal. Shyvana is just a tank. If you delete Smolder, there isn't going to be much that is going to be a threat to the DZG team, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the Smolder, it's really the Smolder show right now. Aatrox actually put up a good amount of work. He did pick up a double kill, but I mean, if you're playing front to back, as you should be with DZG, I mean, the Aatrox is full damage, aside from the plated steel caps and the Doran shield. I mean, he is just full damage. So if you're able to CC him with like the Chains of Corruption or the Volley Rare Stun or the Zac or really anything, because the entirety of DZG has some sort of CC, it should allow him to kind of be taken down pretty quickly, especially now that Anarchist is sitting on those 3 items, solely focused on that burst with that Hex Tech item, the Storm Surge, and the Death Cap, really just focusing on outputting that damage as quickly as possible. Okami trying to pick up the blue buff here for his team, is doing it on top of a blue ward, will not be delayed much longer, so he's going to be able to pick that up. DZG also trying to answer Canny down in the bot lane, so it's really creating this optimal 4v1 situation for DZG where they're playing, well, now the 1-3-1, creating some pressure in these lanes, trying to set themselves up for this Baron that is available, as it is the biggest neutral objective available for them right now. But definitely a really great job applying this pressure. Anarchist moving down as well. DZG trying to bait this out. This is a 3v3, a 3v2 situation here. Now that Syndra is walking down, it's a 3v4. Kassadin dinging that level 12 only at 25 minutes, definitely behind. This Kassadin, I don't know, he's going to need to be, they're going to have to delay this game to almost 40 minutes at this point, but at the pace that this is going to make this Kassadin actually relevant.
I mean, with the wave clear that Smolder has, it's possible.
Yeah, he has an elder buff now, so I mean, he is there. I think he is there. He should be there. I mean, seeing as how we've been about 3 minutes since he was at 208, so he should be there. Yeah, 258, so he's absolutely there. He's got those big glowing horns now. But yeah, I mean, now that it's really kind of the reverse of game 1, we're putting all the eggs into the Smolder basket here, or at least trying to delay long enough for Kassadin to pick up that level 16, which is now at level 13. So he's definitely trying to get there. And DZG kind of waiting a long time here, maybe a little bit indecisive, really trying to find this pick onto anybody from the side of the IT before fully committing, not really forcing the IT to come to them. They could force this Baron, force a fight. They have a lot of these turn ability, turn of a fight, or turn off of the objective availability to them with the Chains of Corruption, with the Charge, with the Elastic Slingshot, with the Volibear ulti. They have all these ways of forcing them to funnel towards DZG and then be able to turn on them and force them to come to them. Because right now, the IT is pretty content just kind of sitting back and letting this Kassadin farm. However, Canny says, yeah, no, we see what you're doing. I'm not really liking this. TP coming through doesn't matter. Canny's at 3 items. Kassadin is at 2 items and has no armor. It really does not matter. Canny is already at 16. DZG gonna start this Baron up though. Despite, especially with the TP being used by Mint there, haphazardly to try to save the Kassadin. DZ just gets a free dragon here, or a free Baron here, unless Okami has something to say about it. Isn't spotted, by the way, going into this. The wards did not spot him, but it looks like they're going to opt to give this up. They're saying, you know what, it's not even worth the steal here. We're going to go try to push this mid lane turret as quickly as we can. DZ does have empowered recalls, doesn't really have a wave up in the top lane, but maybe opting to pick up this next wave, which they are. They're not going to take the recall. They're going to take this empowered wave and try to take this tier 2 turret. And rightfully so, as Airtone and Okami are really the only 2 who can answer. Kassadin's on his way up, but it's likely to be a tier 2 turret for the side of DZG here.
Yeah, and right now Canny is moving toward his team. He doesn't have his ult, so it looks like it should be just an easy disengage, and the next big fight should be at Drake. The way it turns out will depend on whether or not they can delete Smolder early.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is that. It's really the Smolder show right now. Unless this Aatrox can like really pop off like he's had in some of these fights, it's possible. But I mean, DZG is leading in gold by so much. 2,000 above for Kled into the Aatrox, 4,000 for Syndra above on the Kassadin, and a 2,000 above the Smolder as Varus. So I mean, DZG by all intents and purposes should be able to clean this fight up relatively well, despite the Smolder having that ultimate available, or that passive available to him. It really is, can Smolder find a really good angle to drop a bomb? Can he remain untouched in some of these fights and pick up these kills with the passive, especially because he's continuing to farm up these stacks, and if anything, it just continues to increase that range of execution. All the meanwhile, DZG will pick up their 3rd dragon in a game. That's 3 Ocean Drakes, so that's going to be a good chunk of regen available to them per dragon. So 3 of them means that if the IT doesn't commit to a fight fully, and they only really just sort of damage them, that they're going to be able to kind of just heal that back up with those Ocean Drakes. Mid lane tier 2 turret going to be taken down as well by the empowered minions, and DZG may be looking to kind of finish this up here as they're sieging on 2 fronts here, a 0-1-4, if you will. Not the most optimal, but it is still something, applying what's left of this Baron, which will be up in about 30 seconds. Mom coming through, try to clear up some of this wave. Not really too crazy here. Ooh, flash for flash here, but it doesn't matter. Airtone going to be able to use the Unbreakable Will here to be able to buffer that ultimate, but that turret actually won't be turned off just yet. But Rajan kind of trying to pump up some of that damage, is doing his best to stay out of range of the Syndra specifically. Kaiser eating a bit of that damage as well. Rajan gonna get flashed on top of by Canny. Bird Trap on a rope will be there, as he will be able to stay on top with those jousts, and that's gonna be a 4-for-1 for the side of DZG. Likely gonna be end of the game unless Okami can pump up that damage, trying to get to that empowered form, trying to do a little bit of damage to get into that completed dragon. Will not matter. Okami will be taken down. That's gonna be the ace for the side of DZG, and game 2 will go to DZG Arcadia, and we are going to a game 3.
Another great game. It's definitely close, and there's definitely been this entire back and forth, but it does appear that Smolder is that biggest bait, or either that or both teams suddenly decided, we draft Smolder, we want to scale, and they threw scaling so much that, their mid lane did not even get to play the game.
Oh man, I don't even know. I truly think it's just the Kassadin. Like Smolder damage, most damage in the game, despite it all. I mean, I think Rajan actually played the Smolder laning phase the best you could ever ask for. Picking up 2 kills, getting to that 225 pre 25 minutes. I think the Kassadin was god awful. I think that just put you in such a terrible position. I think you just give something that wave clears. Like Soccer plays Malzahar. Maybe not the greatest matchup in the Syndra. Whatever, man. Just wave clear and have an R button that does something and that you don't have to wait till level 16. But I mean, I just think that that was their biggest crux. But DZG, I mean, played incredibly in this game, and I think they were able to finish 10 minutes earlier, from 40 minutes to 30 minutes, and they were able to kind of run away with their lead despite slowing down a couple times and not really keeping the pedal to the metal. They were able to pick up a relatively clean game.
Yeah, and I definitely am looking forward to seeing what kind of adjustments and which side the Iron team is going to pick to kind of, because I feel like Smolder being up there is going to be a threat to both sides.
Without a doubt, whether it's picking it and doing poorly or picking it and doing well, you're right. I think it's a threat despite it being up. But with that, we're gonna take a quick break to get ready for game number 3. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back with that game 3 of DZG Arcadia versus the IN team. Welcome back, everyone, to game number 3. Draft is already on their way. The Iron team has opted to swap sides once more and be on the red side. Bans are changing just a bit. Swain, Maokai going to be removed from DZG by DZG, and the Iron team saying, we don't want to see Syndra at third game. We're going to get rid of that. They don't want to see what Andicus can do 3 times in a row. But DZG does have first pick. Smolder's available. Cassidon. Yeah, totally. I'd love to see it. That's messed up, man.
Oh,
Instead, Oriana. That's interesting. They're saying, you know what? Smolder, Schmolder. Like, literally, you can have him. Oriana was banned, I believe, in the previous 2 games. So it's, I guess DZG saying, yeah, Oriana, if you're going to take away Syndra, we'll take that. Just like, all right. I mean, it's open. Why not? I mean, he didn't do that bad. Rajan actually was 33k, most damage in the game. So, I mean, why not? Rel will be picked up, though. Another solid support jungle flex.
yeah, I think honestly he didn't need to go with RFC as a third item. I think he could have gone to Void Quick Plays because the entire DZG team was engaging on him. So he was well within auto distance by the time everyone was on him.
Yeah, and that's the same kind of thing that we had in game number 1 was, the RFC really not really doing much for you. Yes, you get more attack speed, but like you said, the entirety of the enemy team wants to be on top of you, so why pick it up? DZG, though, going to pick up Alistair and that Vi. Vi, another really strong pick into Smolder. Lockdown, 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 lockdown. I think that's the name of the game here. And Vi Oriana, very good at doing that. Granted, Smolder can still buffer that flight to be able to get away and drag the Vi to his team. But a well-timed, Vault Breaker into Cease and Desist is going to mean that Smolder's going to be locked up. And speaking of lockup, Malzahar is going to be locked in for Soccer here in the mid lane, saying, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That Cassidon, definitely not something I'm comfortable with. Swain's already gone, and you took Oriana. Screw it. We'll take Malzahar. That's safe wave clear. It's a solid matchup into Oriana, and it really sets them up for some pick potential.
Yeah, and that's honestly been interesting. I think right now they're putting their eggs inside top lane because Aatrox has performed really well despite getting counterpick for DZG last game. And in the first game, he was still really a big threat. So I think honestly they're looking more at top side. They already solidified that ADC is going to be a good threat later on, but I think if they can solidify that top counter here, I think they'll definitely the IN team will definitely have a good draft.
And I agree. I think your top laner has shown to be this pillar. Whether it's a early game comp or a scaling comp, the top laner for the side of the Iron team has always been pretty solid, and you definitely want to give him that edge as much as you can to Canny, who has also not looked too bad himself. Ban-wise, getting rid of some ADCs, getting rid of Varus and Aphelios, definitely some solid AD carries that can pair well with the Alistar. Nocturne and likely another jungle pick going to be banned out by the side of DCG. A lot of ADCs are still available, though, here. Actually, it's the brand, which is, I mean, definitely can be played in the jungle. Definitely a solid pickup here. Seeing it more from the mid laner than the jungler, but sure. A lot of ADC still available for the side of DCG despite the 2 bans. Things like the my brain's turning off. Jin is available. Ezreal's available. Misfortune's available. Definitely some things that can do well into this. But like you said, I do expect this to be a jungle pick or maybe a support pick, but it is going to be that Wukong that did so well for the IN team in game number 1.
Yeah, and I think that it's unfortunate that DZG did take the Orianna because the pairing of Orianna and Wukong is so good. But I mean, Malzahar does do it well, but it's locking down one person. But the question is, who are you going to lock down? Will it be the Vi who, is in the back line because they're trying to lock down Smolder? Or hopefully we don't see one ult on an Alistar?
Yeah, without a doubt. Ooh, Zaya not too bad here. I think it's a little interesting. Mostly because the entirety of DCG wants to go forward, and Zaya really isn't one to want to go forward. She kind of wants to go back and kind of play off of the feathers. So you're almost forcing your Zaya to play aggressively to follow up on the rest of the team. But it is still provide some good safety for getting away from the Rel Magnet Storm, the Wukong Cyclone, getting away from those Venn diagram circles that TIT has drafted again. And speaking of disengage and pivoting just a little bit, Poppy going to be over here for DCG and will be locked in for Canny up in the top lane.
I feel like the Xayah was more a response to Rel and Wukong who really do want to go in, but at the same time, that means that everyone else has to be able to delete the Smolder because the Xayah is not going to be a threat to the Smolder. I mean, granted, later on she might be able to get her feathers out, and if it's a 1v1, they might have that trade and win out. But this current moment, it looks like it's definitely going to be in favor of Smolder at the top this moment, and it looks like top lane is going to be a pure Yordle fight.
Rumble is a very good pick here. That is a very strong matchup for Rumble and the Poppy. I mean, Poppy essentially doesn't really get to play the game as if the Rumble plays it well. But this is like big ulties, like right? Like you got Smolder ult, you got Rumble ult, which essentially does the same thing, except one covers more ground and the other one stays on the ground longer. Wukong ulti, it's a big AoE kind of thing where, like you said, if Orianna was taken by the Iron team, it'd be Dunzo. It's just big ults everywhere. But despite it being Malzahar, it is still a lot of damage and a lot of just pressing the R button coordination. And the Iron team has shown that they can do that. They did that in game number one. They were sort of kind of able to do a little bit of it in game number two. But DZG has a really strong front line, right? They have Alistair, they have Vi, they have Poppy, and they have a lot of damage. So honestly, I actually think with some of this pickup with the Rumble now, I actually think the Xayah does now have a little bit more value. She's going to be able to kind of play back and play into what they want to come into. But it's definitely it's a I think it's the best draft from either side that's been picked so far. In terms of responding to what the other team is trying to do and kind of responding accordingly.
Yeah, and I think me this is a personal preference. I think I honestly would have wanted to see an Ashe into the enemy team just because if you can see everyone running at you, it is going to be hard for the other jungler to kind of get a really good gank off. But I think the two people to watch for DZG is going to be mid lane and jungle, just because jungle has in the first game looks really rough, but the second game he really cleaned it up. And then mid lane has kind of been able to get a lead on his own. So if he can do that in this game, it's going to be critical for DZG. On the other side, I feel like jungle also is worth noting because who will he decide to gank, as well as how will Rumble fare in this game? Because I feel like Smoller can be counted on to be a threat, but he is a late game threat. So I feel like it is entirely on the shoulders of Wukong and Rumble to carry that early to mid and pray that Smoller has enough CC to be allowed to pull off all of his abilities freely.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very strong point. I mean, Smolder really doesn't have that peel that you would want that you've got in those previous two games. It's really like you said, it's the enemy team, not the enemy team. I'm sorry, it's the IT. Really just having this all in kind of find the pick, find the big AOE ults, and just spin on them. And and like you said, without having that potential peel, maybe the Malzahar is who you end up having to just be that default peeler, where maybe he's trying to land abilities and you save that ultimate for like the Vi who's maybe looking to dive in, or an Oriana who's trying to kind of get a little bit too close to be able to follow up. But like you said, it's really going to be Smolder positioning and putting himself in a position where he can actually drop that damage at some point without relying on the rest of his team to kind of bail him out. Where DCG does have lockdown available, does have disengage tools and the ability to re-engage just the same with the Poppy and the Alistar, and does have good damage. They have the Oriana, they have um, my brain is trying to remember what they drafted for ADC. They have the Xayah, who can still do fairly well if the feathers are in the right spot, or is given just kind of free reign to kind of poke down with some well-timed blade collars and some well-timed auto attacks. It's interesting. I'm excited to see this game. I think both teams are kind of now warmed up. They're past those first game jitters. They're kind of like locked in. They're zoned in, and I'm excited to see what these two teams can do.
Likewise, and we'll get back to you after this short break.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 3 of DZG Arcadia versus the IN team. We have DZG Arcadia on the side, on the blue side, and the IT on the red side. Likely the both teams will set up for a quick 5-point start as they have in the previous 2 games. However, who knows? Maybe they want to get an early game advantage. Maybe they want to run it down and just give one team a bigger advantage. But who knows? But it's likely the 5-point start.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've seen so many Duran rings on one side, but it makes sense,
Oh, wow.
especially with Smolder. But it's interesting to see for once that we see 3 Duran rings. Both we can definitely see that the Iron team is definitely opting for a lot more damage, instead of the safety that Rumble could go with the Duran shield. So he definitely wants to trade, and he definitely is confident that he's going to win those trades.
Yeah, and I think that's very smart. Brumble has a very, in my opinion, a very easy time in this matchup. Also opting to take the Ignite, which is standard now for Rumble matchups, especially if you're going to win them, because it just threatens the all-in at the level 1 poke with the Flame Spitter, and then even the level 2 is just like, if he doesn't go Flame Spitter level 1, he can go level 2 and go the Harpoons in level 1, but I mean, it's a lot of damage early, especially with the harpoons reducing magic resist and then just flame spittering it up. And I mean, it's going to be a very difficult lane for Canny unless Mint just plays it absolutely terribly. But doesn't mean that DZG can't win elsewhere. Mid lane is, or I mean, if it's as dominant as it has been for game number 2, then Andicus might not have too bad of a time until at level 6, where the Malzahar gets that ultimate. But yeah, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited to see kind of these different picks. I'm excited to see what both these teams can do. Castro and Kaiser trying to find a quick level 1 cheese. Won't be able to do that. Rajan will just get a bit of free poke, and I think was able to land that Q on both of them again. So very nice for him to stack up early.
It's kind of interesting also that I'm looking at Dylan. Right now, we're seeing him. He had the option to kind of do a 3-camp, gank into top side, and kind of get Kenny a bigger lead, because it's simply Rumble wants to push that wave. So essentially, theoretically, you should be in a situation where it's more in favor of Rumble. But it looks like Kenny's just pulling off Kenny things.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting. Yeah, I mean that's still gonna be. Oh, that was actually really good. That was presence. That healing. I don't know where he got the big chunk of healing. I don't know if it was grasp or if he's running like presence of mind. That was actually really good healing. Canny, just saying, nope, I can win this matchup. It's very easy, especially if Mid stands in front of a wall and a turret. But Okami here getting invaded. Dylan outputting some really good damage here. Okami forced to flash. Soccer's here to try to bail out his jungler, but Okami's going to end up... I think he does end up taking the Raptors there, but it ends up... Actually, does he take the... I think he did, yes. He took the Raptors, or at least some of them, but it still puts them slightly behind. Actually, I don't even know, actually. 3 is 12. So, no, they ended up sharing the Raptors, but still.
And it looks like the Xayah has been able to lock down the Smolder with the feathers. So maybe it's not as bad as a pick that I thought earlier, but essentially, I feel like this buy is definitely going to either make it a great impact on this bot lane because of the way that the pathing is, or bot lane might just fluff it by being too aggressive just before the jungler can get here.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I think this is really dependent on how effective this Vi can be in this bot lane, especially with the Smolder being fairly immobile aside from the flight. But the lockdown that the Alistar provides along with the Xayah, if they're able to kind of just CC chain the Smolder, he should be dead to rights, and they do have a lot of burst available to them as well. But that'll just really be dependent on what they are able to do. Is actually it's the Vi going to be taking a quick reset, the Wukong also taking a reset. We saw Orianna already take her reset and TP back into lane with a tier and that CDR component. Meanwhile, top lane wise, it looks like Mint is crashing the wave in as best as he can. Kaiser trying to land that stun onto Rajan. Rajan going to be able to just start that flight and disengage and just go back to farming. However, Castro is sitting up at about 10 CS lead here, so definitely punishing and forcing Rajan away from some of the CS and not letting the Smolder free stack this game.
And it looks like DZG is opting for that Void Grub, and then meanwhile Wukong is near boss side, so they may go out for this dragon if DZG does decide to go for the Void Grubs.
Yeah, standard trade of objectives here, but yes, that if the INT is able to pick up this dragon, that would be the third first Drake that they've gotten. So first Drake in every game. If they get this one, DZG definitely just prioritizing these grubs, are able to start up these grubs, and will likely get the first three, as Wukong's pretty far away. Kenny has lane prio, and Oriana has lane prio as well here. Ori will get spotted on that ward as she walks by. So they're likely going to be already expecting that, and yes, that is going to be the ping onto the dragon. That's going to be flash expended here by Rajan to get away. Mint going to take Canny down pretty low after that dive attempt. Flash not available for Canny just yet, neither for Mint. Fight going in through here as well. Okami trying to get in. Really strong headbutt pulverize here. Castro going to be ignited, going to be stunned. That's going to be Wukong landing one last hit, and Airtone's actually able to pick that up with the ignite. A 1-for-0 for the side of the IT. Mint hugging that wall again. Canny, gonna take the turret shot though, so kind of playing a little bit too aggressive, a little too early, but I mean, it's just gonna take one really good, stun there, but it actually will not matter. Canny not gonna be strong enough to be able to survive the turret shot, and then that's gonna be a 1-for-1, a not great dive here for the side DZG. Dylan the Beast maybe looking to steal this dragon. Was able to pick up the first 3 grubs here. This is a pretty slow dragon. It's just Okami and Airtone. Okami, while he is Wukong, isn't necessarily the fastest at taking this. And Kaiser's here. Castro could rotate over should he want to, but here comes Soccer. Does have a little bit more damage. That's going to be the Vault Breaker going to land here. Smite going to go down a little too early for Dylan here. That's going to be the suppression by the Malzahar. Flash going to be done there by Dylan. Clone over the wall by Wukong, and that is going to be a dragon. First of the game. The third first dragon, all 3 games to the side of the IT, and they are gonna retain that small gold deficit to just about 300.
Yeah, it looked like not Canny, Dylan really wanted that dragon, so I'm not quite sure if he was asking both bot laners to please rotate over, because Smolder had this weird back where he just said, you know what, I believe in my team's ability to take this dragon. I'm gonna back right now, and essentially left both Xayah and Alistar full health in bot lane. And honestly, they could, if they rotated early before that Malzahar got there was a chance where it would have turned it in favor of DZG.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think if Xayah would have rotated sooner, they could have just fought that. I mean, Wukong was pretty close to half health. I think Rel was getting there on health, getting to a little bit below half, and they definitely can turn that around. Meanwhile, the Blade Caller will pull back and stun Rajan there, as he is actually caught back up on CS now, and the wave's pretty neutral, so he's actually doing fairly well for himself now, especially after that awkward recall. Is able to continue to stack up. Hexblack going to be channeled here. Stun on 2. That's going to be big damage. Mom going to be called down as well. Castro doesn't have ulti just yet. That might be just a few more autos. One more Q will be enough here. And that is going to be a kill. Rajan picking up a kill onto Castro. Disrespect of the level 6 here for the side of DZG, as neither Alistar nor the Xayah were able to get away. Meanwhile, Mint trading pretty heavily on top of Canny here. Does have the buckler to give him that extra bit of shield. Soccer's here in the mid lane, trying to wave clear as best as possible. Dylan hugging the wall here. Does have the Vault Breaker to go over the wall. Sees this is going to land. Shockwave going to land as well. Flash Cycle going to be there as well. Dylan going to be taken low. Will be taken down by the Wukong Q. Flash Stun. Knockup going to be there, but Airtone hadn't hit Kaiser yet, so it didn't really matter. Ignite going to be dropping as well, and Airtone's going to go down. Kaiser thought he had him, but he did not.
That is the second time that we have watched them in this series try to 1v2 to salvage a fight. Honestly, I'm not quite sure if he thinks that he's not a tank when he does this, because he did it both on Maokai and Alistar. They don't really have those damage options as a threat.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, it would have been one thing if he would have walked up and he would have taken an auto by Airtone, because then when he did that headbutt, or that pulverized flash into headbutt under turret, then Airtone would have taken like 2 to 3 tower shots and definitely would have died. But he just kind of did it on a whim, and Airtone was like, yeah, I will just crash down, close the gap back to my turret, and then stun you and walk away. And I mean, also ignite. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Seemingly good idea, poor execution. Canny, though, might be in a bit of trouble here as Airtone's here. The ultimate is going to be the Keeper's Verdict. Will knock back Okami here. The rest of DZG's here and available. It's a 2v3 situation. Airtone not too aware of this just yet. Is level 6 though. Does have access to Magnet Storm. Season Assist is not available just yet. Good flash by Mint here. Does have access. Doesn't have access to the ultimate here. Lockdown will happen. Airtone will potentially get taken down. Crashdown is there to save him though. The extra bit of shield that he gets will be enough, as he will be able to disengage, and it'll be a nothing for both sides here, as the Void Grubs are up and available though, and with Airtone being relatively low, Mint also going to be forced to take a reset. This is going to be a full six-piece grubby here for the side of TIT.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of went even. Both sides had an opportunity, but in the end, right now with them getting the rest of the Void Grubs, I feel like DZG has benefited off these fights. I mean, we are seeing some scaling from the Iron team, so they are that mid to late game. So right now they are in that rough stage of, well, we need threats, and Rumble is getting there, but he still hasn't completed his item.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of getting caught out here, Soccer gonna be knocked up, shockwaved, and everything. Does have access to the ulti should he want to use it. That's a really strong crash down. That's a really good suppress here. Kaiser doesn't have a way of stopping this, and that's gonna be the mom called out as well. Anakin will be taken low. Won't be enough, but the Malzahar space aids will be enough to take him down. But Kaiser also on the wrong side of dodge here, as he will get locked down here. One more auto from Akami will be enough. That's gonna be a 2 for 2 though, as Mint goes down in the top lane. So a 2-2 across the board. Dragon coming up in 28 seconds. But TIT's bot and mid lane not doing too bad, specifically the bot lane. However, Mint is definitely paying the price here for the bot lane getting all the attention as he just gets dove for the third time this game.
Yeah, and DZG's bot lane is yet again suffering. They're currently 0-4, but I also think that Andy had a slight misplay in the mid lane. As soon as Alistar had pulverized the Malzahar and immediately got rid of his shield, there was absolutely no reason to use Orianna's ultimate yet. I think if he honestly held it for a little bit longer and waited for the engage, he honestly could have used it when Malzahar was trying to get away, and honestly would have gotten this easy kill before Smolder got into the fight.
Ooh, engage on the dragon here. Kaiser eating a lot of damage here. Kaiser, one more auto will be enough. Castro as well. Be forced to use the Feather Storm here. We'll get locked out by the Magnet Storm as soon as he lands. Will not be able to recall the Feathers. Rajin taking another kill here. Anarchus doesn't have access to Shockwave. Will in just a few more seconds, but it won't be in time. Airton will be taken down. Here comes Dylan the Beast once again, trying to steal it away. It'll be a Smite fight, but they're not hitting the dragon anymore. Smite comes out early, trying to get that kill, or trying to secure that objective. Won't be enough. Dylan once again unable to get in there, will be taken down for his trouble, and that's going to be a 4 for 0 for the side of TIT. Second dragon secured. Gold lead, about 1,000 gold.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why these fights continuously happen. I mean, it should be confirmed. Your bot lane is the weak link right here. Do not play around them. Give up this Drake. Focus something else, scale up. I get that Smolder is eventually going to scale and be a threat, but at the same time, you cannot afford to have these team fights in their favor. You're swinging too much gold if 4 of you die.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this gold is also on the Smolder, who really should be not doing as well as he should be in these fights. I mean, he's Rajin's positioning has been really good. He's been able to drop a lot of damage. The moms have actually been on point. The flights have been really helpful as well, just kind of playing off of terrain, especially in that last fight. And he is scaling up kind of for free at this point. Being at 98 CS, 13 minutes, I'm sure he's closing in, if not already, at that 100 stack mark, especially even using that mom right now to wave clear fully. Yeah, he's at 105 at 13 minutes. Like, that's pretty solid. And that's what you want to see on Smolder, despite the fact that he has 3 kills and 6 assists. Like, he should be probably pretty close to, or he should be close to picking up strong components of that second item. But Okami will get locked down here. Synthesis will land with the Blast Plant here. Okami, one more auto will be enough. Good flash here. Is able to use the clone to dodge away. Not able to secure the kill. Season Desist was used. Keeper's Verdict was not available, so not extra knockup. I don't even think the walls, like, CC was used either by the Poppy, so I think that was a little bit of a misplay. But yeah, not enough damage. Also, Poppy won Eclipse. Maybe I'm unfamiliar with the build paths for Poppy recently, but that seems interesting as it's Eclipse into the Bomby Cinder. Canny might get caught out here. Nope, won't be enough to actually, the Shattering Strike will not come out, and Canny will be able to walk away.
I think Poppy's opting for that quick delete for Rumble before it gets too big of a threat. So, I mean, he does get the three attacks off for the Eclipse really easily, just because you can slam into the wall, Q, and immediately auto, or, you know, auto and then Q. So I do see the benefits of that. I'm just concerned whether, I mean, with that team that the Iron team is fielding, it's kind of hard to have that front to back. So even if he built tanky, I'm not quite sure if it would benefit from that.
True. Rajin. Ooh, really good stop. Keeper's Verdict going to stop that flight. Mom going to come through, though. Flash going to come out from Canny. I don't even think that was really needed, per se, to flash away from that Mom. 3 turret shots will be taken by Canyon here. Here comes Okami. He's going to be able to pick that up with the dash and the smash there. Dylan here trying to create some space. Ooh, Flash Magnet Storm. Featherstorm not available. It was used. That's going to be the suppression here by the Malzahar. He's going to be able to pick up Malefic Vision's going to be dropped as well. Dylan the Beast will be taken down. That's going to be a double kill from Sokka here. Kaiser will get Flash knocked back. Was not able to buffer the Rebel was able to buffer the knockback here, but the Flash will keep him safe. And that's going to be a 3-for-1 for the side of the IT. Dive will likely happen here. Unbreakable Will is still available here. Okami saying, yeah, no, it's fine, no worries. We're going to take this turret if you don't do anything about it. But the ultimate's still there. Turret shots are being taken. Will not matter, though. That's not going to be good enough here. Ultimate used, for lack of a better term, pointlessly. Because at that point, you're dead no matter what. Because you're only sitting at the Kindle Gem and the boots. But that's going to be a 4-for-1 for the side of the IT, extending that gold lead now to a solid 3,500.
Yeah, I mean, the fight kind of started getting awry when you saw, okay, we all knew that Poppy was definitely going to be able to secure the kill once he got past the turret because Xayah simply cannot get her feathers on point anymore. So I'm not quite sure why the desperation ult from Xayah came out because there was just no reason for it. Just leave the turret. You can't do anymore. And I think that ended up in a even worse situation because Orianna hadn't rotated down toward bot. Honestly, the simple disengage Canny would have died there, and that would have been it. But unfortunately, they decided to pick another fight, and after Xayah had already used her ult, so there is no escapability anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, I personally, I feel like DZG unfortunately feels like they're scrambling right now. Like they're trying to figure this out. They're trying to make the most of what they can with some of these aggressive plays, especially onto the Smolder, trying to just set them back as long as they can. But it's really not working out, and it's actually accelerating the pace of this game and letting these scaling champions scale a little bit quicker and quicker. Oh my goodness, letting them scale quicker, find these item breakpoints that they need to be able to find really good fights. However, if we take a look at items, now that I mentioned item breakpoints, Rumble's not even at 1 item yet. He's trying to finish up that Rylai's as quickly as he can. Definitely the more aggressive build path that Canny has built. This game has definitely allowed him to really bully this Rumble and not really let him play the game. It's actually Leandry's that now gets completed at the 17-minute mark. Now it's going to hurt a little bit more when the Rumble ults, but it definitely has been feeling a bit underwhelming. And speaking of underwhelming, DZG's Dragon Control has been very underwhelming this game, as for the 3rd game in a row, the IT, actually no, last game it didn't, but this is the 2nd game in the series that the IT has gotten 3 dragons uncontested before DZG is able to do anything for in the dragon. So it's putting DZG up against the wall now as they're down, these 3 dragons and are once again on the sole point for this Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, and I'm curious if, it is a 3k gold lead, but honestly, it's not so big that it's not surpassable.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm watching the bot lane I don't know what they are. I don't know where they're going to contribute to this game because right now they're 0-4 and I don't see them as a threat. So this is literally on Andy's shoulders as the only one with Pazakere as well as split push Poppy. So essentially you are forced to give up these mutual objectives because the other team can just walk into it. They're not afraid of any damage because they'll see the Orianna and focus her, but they know that if they stop the Poppy split push, essentially the other 4 can fight the 4 of DZG.
Yeah, and I mean, Rumble's not afraid to drop that ulti to just wave clear very quickly, especially if the fight's breaking out. While he doesn't have the TP, I mean, he has no way of stopping the Poppy TP per se, but at least, like you said, if they're able to just consistently stop this Poppy from split pushing and they're able to take the 4v4, the IT is definitely gonna win that 4v4, at least at this point. Andik is still trying to finish that item past the Seraph's Embrace, which is not completed, trying to get to a bigger damage spike. Smolder now sitting at the Shojin and the Essence Reaver, where Xayah is still trying to get to that Navori Quick Blades. But I mean, Smolder, yeah, I mean, now he's really burning through those minions, is now able to use that Q significantly sooner, and is going to make it so that he's going to be able to hit those 225 stacks pretty darn quickly as we're sitting at the 19-minute mark. I'm sure he's surpassed the 150, probably sitting at about 160, 170, and yeah, 170. Yeah, he's schmoovin'. He's 55 away from picking up that Elder buff, and I'm sure it's going to come within the next 2 to 3 minutes. Castro walking away. DZG is going to have to start setting up for this next dragon, or at least setting up some defensive vision, which they have towards this Baron area, so that DIT can't just sneak it from underneath them.
As much as I hate to say it, I feel like this is more of an opportunity. You pick a side and just slam all your resources into it and try to end the game before Smolder gets the Elder buff.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good option. I mean you're not wrong. I mean maybe play away from these objectives like with this Baron coming up. Maybe you just overload the bottom side of the map and just try to run it down. Or you wait for this dragon, right? That's probably the better option. You wait for this dragon to pop up and you say maybe we're contesting it, maybe we're not. Meanwhile though, Canny might get caught out here. Does have the Keeper's Verdict available. Will knock back the Rel here, but that is still going to be a lot of damage coming through from Okami. And here comes Rajan. The equalizer not really that there, but Rajan doesn't care. He's got his own flame breath, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill. And DZG, I mean, this is the downside of a split push Poppy. You don't really have the ability to create pressure on either side of the map. Castro going to eat the mom here. Featherstorm going to be pulled out. Try not to eat that Magnet Storm that Airtone's threatening. But yeah, DZG didn't have equal pressure, and that's one of the biggest mistakes the teams make, is if you're trying to split push on the top side of the map or the bot side of the map and the rest of your team is not creating equal pressure, the enemy team can just collapse on you with the entirety of their team, which they pretty much did, aside from Malzahar, and punish you, and then the rest of your team isn't able to capitalize on the fact that they committed so much for you.
Yeah, and I'm not quite a fan of Andy going to cooldown boots because I really feel like he needs to put out the damage. If he can delete people, he essentially can help try to carry this game because right now Xayah is not a person. She needs like 4 items to be useful, and I'm not seeing layering of feathers down on the ground. So like when she's setting up for turrets, I feel like she needs to set up some feathers just so that she can call the back just for safety reasons. Like just setting up those means you don't have to blow your ult all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. It's that presence of mind that players need to have with their champions, like how to maximize what your champions do, and that's one of those things that, like you said, is not being done. You're not really laying out those feathers to kind of position for a really good blade caller. You're kind of just relying on your Featherstorm, your ultimate, to really lay them out for you, and that's not really the main usage of it, especially in a position that you're this behind. Oh, speaking of big engage, that's a 3-man Magnet Storm. Flashes are going to come out. Castro's going to eat a bit of chunk of damage. Anarchus as well. The cease and desist will land. Dylan trying to create as much of it as he can. 3-man Cyclone followed up as well. Big ultimate's unavailable. The Shockwave was used. Canny trying to eat as much damage as he can. Is still relatively tanky despite having the Eclipse here. Will get knocked down. Will get choked around, and that is going to be Mint taking down Canny. That's a 2-for-0 for the side of the IT. Kaiser, I don't know what he was trying to do there with that Flash Pulverize combo, but it unfortunately did not work out. Maybe trying to throw a person back towards his team, but that's an unnecessary death, causing a 3-for-0 for DZG. Gold lead just a little under 3,000 gold, and that's likely going to be the Elder or the Infernal Soul taken, and a quick rotation by the side of the IT towards his Baron.
Yeah, I mean, they played it as well. They definitely said, you know what, we have the gold lead, try to fight us. And DZG tried, and they lost it.
Yeah, it was a really good engage from Airtone here on the Rel. Despite, 2 flashes were burned to get away from him, but he landed a 3-man Magnet Storm. The flashes were blown, the Shockwave was blown, Featherstorm wasn't available for Xayah, and then the Okami re-engaged with the Cyclone and knocked up 3. So a very kind of like layered offense where not everything was blown all at once. But like you mentioned, I mean, they just said, hey, we're going to smack you around with our wallet because we know we're that much ahead of you. And I mean, Smolder is at Elder buff now, so it's going to be really hard for DZG to play around that and not be in range of that. I think like 7% execute range, or 5% execute range. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and we're seeing Canny yet again play. I feel like he feels the weight of the game on his shoulders because of the way he's positioning, trying to position so that he gets some leverage. But at the same time, the other team is realizing, you know what, if we answer him with numbers, we can still fight the remainder of their team with the rest of our team. We do not require only one. We need more than one person to beat this Poppy, but as soon as we do, the other team cannot do anything because currently Xayah is not really able to commit to any fights.
Yeah. And something I just noticed, despite this engage here, which I think Mint may get caught out. No, he's going to be able to get away. Smolder didn't build Rapid Fire Cannon this time. That's a big amount of damage that he's picking up with the Navori Quick Blades. He is doing massive amounts of damage in these fights, and that's because he didn't opt for that Rapid Fire Cannon, because he doesn't necessarily need it this game. Kenny trying to find some sort of solace here by trying to output a little bit of damage, but I mean, Okami does have some innate tankiness to him. The more he trades, the tankier he gets, and he's able to just kind of walk away. Mid lane tier 2 turret, going to be go in favor of the IT. On the rotations going down towards the bot lane, the IT trying to maybe start pushing this wave and set up this tier 2 turret to be taken. Next big objective is this Elder Dragon in 3.5 minutes. So it's really just setting up these waves, taking as much as they can from the side of DZG to kind of keep them trapped in their base so that they have the least amount of possibility to try to take this Elder Dragon. Ooh, Dylan, cease and desist, not cease and desist, I'm sorry, the Vault Breaker going over the wall, maybe looking to re-engage and lock down the Smolder. Rest of his team was there to follow up, but it just was not there. Baron empowered minions in the bot lane surely means that this turret's going to be taken down. Okami will get actually caught out here, trying to find a flank angle. Big ultimates being used here. Cycle going to be used as well. Clone going to be used there. Airtone seeing if he could do anything, but he won't be able to. Shut down. Going to be picked up by Anarchist here onto the Wukong, and that's going to be a one champion for one turret trade, but that's a big shutdown picked up by Anarchist here.
Yeah, it is a great pickup, but at the same time, they already have Dragon Soul. Jungler doesn't really have anything to do with currently, so at the same time, if anyone was to pick, I honestly would not mind Okami being picked there. Smolder is still a threat, and they right now don't have anything to lock them down.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's unreliable, right? Like, you have the Vi go in, even if he presses the R or the ultimate onto Smolder and he's able to, like, lock him down, what member of DZG can really follow up, right? If it's Canny or if it's Anarchist with that shockwave, but potentially your other source of damage, which would be the Xayah, who's now sitting at 2 items plus a Quicksilver Sash, isn't really the champion that you need for it. So it's kind of like, can you take down? Can you lock down and take down the Smolder before the rest of the enemy team kind of collapses on you? Can he? Ooh, taking a lot of damage here, but he's outputting just as much. Ooh, Airtone's gonna actually miss. I think Kenny's gonna be able to trade one. No! Just under the amount of damage needed as Mint lives by the skin of his teeth there. Is gonna be able to reset. Doesn't have TP available, but this Elder Dragon coming up in a minute and a half means that he doesn't have to worry too much about it. But Kenny, like you said, feeling that weight of this game, trying to make something happen, trying to create advantages for DZG, and it's just not working right now.
Yeah, and then Ori is going a build that I feel like really stunts her damage. So I don't see an issue. I think this one's what, Cosmic Drive, I believe?
I think Cosmic Drive, yeah.
But like, I feel like just you need to have those needlessly large rods to just have that oomph behind your ult, because right now you are the carry of your team, and if you do not put out enough damage to kill someone on their team, it unfortunately is not going to end well in that team fight.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, Cosmic Drive is going to be pretty big. It's 100 AP, and plus he gets a little bit of an AP boost once he procs it. So it's actually Storm Surge. Okay, I mean, hey, you know what? Not terrible. It's a like burst damage, but I agree. I think the lack of the needlessly large rods that you get from building things like the Death Cap and the Shadow Flame really make this difficult. Oh, DZG needs to back away, backing away towards the wrong way. Canny is going to get CC'd here. That's a lot of AP damage, a lot of magic resistance going to be lost. Roger's going to be able to pick up the kill here. Featherstorm going to be used here. Mom will be called as well. Anakin is going to get chunked down. Castro going down. Anakin's getting flashed on. Mint with a double kill here. Chasing down with those Harpoon rockets. Going to be try to do their best to chase them down. That's a really big pickup. 3 for 0 for the side of the IT right before this Elder spawns in 19 seconds. They don't have the wave here, so taking this turret, wasting a bit of time here, kind of in favor of DZG here as they're waiting for this wave as opposed to setting up for this Elder Dragon or even pushing that bot lane that actually has wave minions down there. Kaiser, though, trying to see what he can do. I'm uncertain why he went in there, as it is a 5v1 situation, as Dylan the Beast didn't look like he was charging in, and that's going to surely secure the inhibitor here, as they're going to be off staggered resets here, or staggered respawns, my bad, as Anarchist and Castro are up, but Kaiser will eat the reset timer. Elder's up here. DZG's gonna try their best to hustle towards the Elder. Blast Plant is available here. I don't think okay, it does still work on Malzahar despite a shield. Rajan trying to pick up this red buff as quickly as he can. We'll be able to pick that up. We'll be able to just fly over the wall here. This Elder's melting like butter here, as it is going to be very quickly picked up, and Elder buff will be granted to the side of the IT as they'll quickly take a reset and likely go for this Baron.
Yeah, I feel like everything is kind of destined for the Iron team to really win this game. I mean, it's gonna take a miracle at this current rate with both the Elder buff, then Smolder also having all of his stacks in the build that he's currently opting for. I mean, adding the rapid fire cannon now honestly is a great idea. So now he has that even additional range. So even if Vi can lock on, he still has an opportunity to put out at least enough of an ult, his W, and an auto and Q before Vi can even get on him, and that's probably half of Vi's health. And unfortunately, they cannot contest Baron right now. So this is honestly, I feel like just a desperation play. They're trying to get this bot turret, which I commend them for. They're at least not sitting in their base, just turtling and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great play. Like you said, taking this turret, trading it out, maybe a little bit too late. Things that you should be more aware of and more um, inclined to do sooner rather than later. Anarchus, ooh, is going to get chased down here. We'll be able to slow them down. We'll be able to hopefully get away. Does have the blast plant available as well. Ooh, we'll eat an auto, though. Castro trying to clear as best as he can. Those empowered minions are maybe a little bit too strong as he's only sitting at 2.5 items here. They don't have a wave just yet, the side of the IT, but they will empower it here with the Baron. The Elder is still available for at least another minute and a half here. DZG trying to do their best. Keeper's Verdict will hit 2 minions. That's going to be the mom called out. The Equalizer as well. Rajan going unstoppable. That's going to be Alistair taking down Mint, taking down Castro. That's going to be just the roars of the dragons coming through as DZG will get routed here. Candy, the last man alive, poetically so, as he was really trying to be the last one, or the biggest threat to their side, and unfortunately not able to do that in this game. DZG will unfortunately go down 1-2. A very well played series by both teams, just that IT played it just a tad bit better.
Yeah, and soccer giving hope for everyone that, despite your rank, you can play with the best. So honestly, the Iron team played great. They played like a team and honestly capitalized on the fights that they should have. Granted, they did lose some of the fights that honestly were more, 50-50, but honestly, there's positive things to see on both teams, and hopefully we see the rest of the split go a little bit in favor of DZG and the Iron team.
I agree. I mean, it's only week one, and DZG, have to hold their heads up. It's only the first week. There's always room for improvement, and I mean, there was a lot of really good things. I mean, game two looked really solid. Game three, not so much, but there's always room for improvement. And as long as they can take something away from the series, then it's nothing. Not everything is totally lost. But with that, we'll close out tonight's stream. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with some more BOL and Aegis action. So come find us again on the same channel, same time, and all the same, we'll see you guys next week. Have a great night.